This dragon seems more entertained than scared by this challenge, and our boy Yuzukura stares it down, vowing not to run, because he is on a mission to find his little slime buddy Purun. So he squares up against a literal dragon with a piece of wood, which the dragon finds so brave it'll grant him a VIP death by fire. All Yuzukura can do is apologize for failing Purun, as the world just explodes in a flash of light. Flashing back to a happier time, just a kid playing with his friend. Holding Purun up to the sun, pure innocence, promising they'd be together forever. But something changed, a somber memory in the rain, leaving the kid alone, clinging to his only comfort. This guilt comes from leaving Purun behind on some desolate road, apologizing for abandoning the little guy all alone. Then Yuzukura jolts awake back in his classroom, wondering if that whole near-death dragon fight was just a dream, completely thrown off by the sudden shift back to normal school life. Of course, normal means the class bullies are here to say hello, calling him F-rank trash for daring to sleep in class. And it turns out they are not just bullies, they are shaking him down for something. This lead bully Kasai gets right in Teishi's face, a real personal touch, explaining this is not bullying, it is a paid request system for losers, and for failing he has got a special punishment cooked up with his electric powers. Looming over Teishi like he is about to jumpstart a car with his face, all while screaming about how he is F-rank trash, when suddenly a blonde girl grabs his arm to stop him, and it is Karin, the class heroine, laying down the no magic in class rule. Kasai tries to wave her off, saying it is just punishment for a failed job, but his goons start dropping gossip about her and Teishi to pressure her, escalating to Cass threatening to kill them both if they are dating, 0 to 100 my dude. He even pulls rank, a C-lister threatening a D-lister, but Karin holds her ground, which just makes the guy slam his hands down in a tantrum, right as the teacher walks in, perfect comedic timing. This whole crew has to shuffle back to their seats, defeated by basic adult supervision, though Casa makes sure to give them a final death glare, promising this is not over, leaving Teishi to just breathe, thinking he is safe for now. This teacher starts class, completely oblivious to the near murder that just happened, kicking off a lecture on the history of dungeons, and nobody knows the answer, which is apparently the right answer, launching into a cosmic flashback of how dungeons and magic just appeared one day, changing everything. Humanity's grand goal was conquering dungeons to build a new world, a new history that is either our destiny or a curse, you know, light stuff. Teishi looks bored out of his mind until something in the lecture clicks, flashing to a creepy familiar smile from someone, and he swears he has heard this whole speech before. This teacher wraps up with a classic work hard, make our school proud bit, when some genius asks why they do not just speedrun an SS rank dungeon. Those words hit Teishi like a truck, SS rank dungeon, and suddenly the whole class is hyped for this brilliant, suicidal field trip. This teacher just stares them down, asking if they have any idea what they're talking about, because an SS rank dungeon is basically dragon daycare and they are not friendly. He explains it as an unconquered hellscape crawling with S-class monsters, a place where even pros die and these kids cannot even get past the front door. But of course they think he is just underestimating their main character energy. So he pulls rank, and a lister telling a bunch of kids they could not even find the entrance. Then a hand goes up and Teishi starts with "When I was a child." This entire class just turns to stare at him, as our boy asks if his childhood trip there counts. Karin is absolutely floored by this revelation, while Casa just looks on, probably thinking this is another F-rank lie. This teacher asks if he is mixing up a deadly dungeon with a trip to the zoo with his mom, and the whole class just roasts him, calling him a delusional F-rank. Convinced he is just lying for attention because he cannot prove a thing, but Teishi slams his desk, insisting he is telling the truth, yelling that he really went to an S-rank dungeon for real. Karin just watches, looking genuinely worried for our boy, while the rest of the class just soaks in the free entertainment, and Kasai of course is just seething, convinced it is all a lie. Later, after that public humiliation, the school day ends, flashing Teishi's mind back to simpler times playing with Purun, which leaves him sitting alone on a bench, lost in thought. He is still hung up on his lost slime buddy Purun when Karin shows up, asking why he is moping all by himself, pointing out he's been off all day and wondering what is wrong. Teishi admits his classroom outburst brought back some old memories, and right on cue, Kasai and the goon squad arrive to ruin the moment. Kasai just glares, clearly not here for a friendly chat. His buddy gets way too close, asking what he is doing alone with Karin, then shoves a camera in his hands with a new request. Go take a picture at an S-rank dungeon to prove he is not a liar, a totally reasonable field trip. Karin tries to de-escalate by threatening to call a teacher, but Teishi has a better idea, offering to get proof from an SS-rank dungeon if Kasai leaves her alone forever. She is obviously against this suicide mission, but he is tired of her always saving him. And besides, he has his own reason to go, a memory of Purun in a dark cave. He puts on a brave smile, saying he can do it for a friend, and Kasai just gives him a dead-eyed stare before finally agreeing. This catch: if Teishi fails, he is Kasai's toy for life, a totally reasonable wager. So with the deal struck, the scene fades to a peaceful sunset, as our boy hops on his bike for a casual trip to a death trap. He pedals down a wooded path, looking way too calm for someone about to enter hell. With a firm grip on the handlebars, he is not turning back now, finally arriving at the base of a huge, ominous cliff face. Yup, this is the spot just as he remembered it. He strolls right past a giant no entry sign because warnings are for other people. Inside the cave, it is dark, damp, and creepy, so he gets the camera ready, calling out for Purun. Deeper into the darkness he goes, calling his friend's name, when a sudden sound makes him turn, hope in his eyes. But it is just some random pink-horned creature, definitely not a slime. He sits down with the little guy, asking if it is alone too, worried he is too late. A pretty butterfly flutters by, a nice welcome to hell, and Teishi admits this place used to scare him as a kid, but now it seems so peaceful, making him question his memories. He figures Puron is probably fine, right as two giant monster eyes open behind him, perfect timing. This new friend is not impressed, calling him a frail, boring human. And then the ground just explodes, sending our boy flying, getting absolutely launched across the clearing. He lands hard, the wind knocked right out of him. But before he can even recover, a blast of energy erupts from the cave, tossing him around like a rag doll all over again. He finally comes to a stop right as a massive purple aura fills the entrance. And out steps a dragon, mocking him for being too weak to even fight back. Teishi can only stare, realizing the teacher was not kidding about the dragons. As this thing circles overhead, laughing at his pathetic power level, it even points out the camera, asking what he thought he'd accomplish. Its massive claw descending with terrifying speed, slamming down right beside him, a clear "you are an ant" message, and there goes the camera, smashed to bits under its foot, with the dragon calling him trash as Teishi just kneels there, staring at the wreckage. All he can do is look on, completely and utterly defeated. His mind flashes back to the bullies at school, calling him F-rank trash, remembering his weak attempt to correct them with a stick, and the dragon's eye suddenly widens, totally caught off guard. Our boy gets back up, stick in hand, declaring he is hunting asterisk at asterisk. This just makes the dragon laugh, calling him an interesting human. With a look of pure resolve, he vows not to run anymore, absolutely refusing to back down until he finds Puron. So he charges forward, ready to take on a dragon with a twig. This dragon just watches him come, completely unimpressed, and gets absolutely swatted away like a fly, landing in a heap as the dragon mocks his foolish attempt. It decides to honor his courage by incinerating him with ancient flames, and Teishi can only apologize to Puron, thinking this is the end, when a massive pillar of light just slams down from the heavens. Teishi throws his arms up, completely blinded by the blast, as a glowing, winged figure descends from the sky. Wait, it is that kid from class, looking just as confused as anyone, and another flash of light erupts nearby, forcing Teishi to shield his eyes once more, peeking through his arm as the light finally begins to die down. And just like that, the dragon is down, face planting into the dirt, leaving Teishi completely baffled by what just happened. Someone else lands nearby, another uninvited guest to the party, but on the dragon's head is a little yellow blob, a very asterisk angry-looking slime to be specific. Our boy cannot believe his eyes, it is Puron. This whole reunion triggers a flashback to his first ever field trip, where his mom had to explain that the slime was just a model. They were at some kind of theme park, rushing to catch a parade. A whole fantasy festival with people dancing in costume. This whole event was a huge deal for his first trip out, showing him as just a happy kid with his parents having a blast. A float rolls by carrying a beautiful princess, who is actually a little girl his age, waving to the crowd. Turns out it was a monster parade, which sounds way cooler than it actually was, featuring the grand entrance of King Buffalo, and little Teishi is already over it, hiding behind his mom. This buffalo costume lets out a big roar, really committing to the bit, which absolutely terrifies our poor kid. Then a dragon float passes by, pretty much cementing his childhood fear of monsters. Back in the past, little Teishi is booking it through a crowd and promptly crashes right into some girl in a witch costume, who immediately scolds him for being a public menace. He stammers out an apology, not even stopping to help her up, and she just gives him this totally unimpressed look. Turns out he was just terrified of the monster theme park and bolted, ending up on some random path, stewing over his monster phobia. He kicks a rock, asking himself if he is just a total coward, which is a question that Rock cannot really answer for him, and now he is officially lost in the middle of the woods. This kid starts panicking, calling out for his mom and dad, and to make things worse, the sky opens up and starts pouring. He hides in the bushes, completely terrified and soaked, just a scared kid all alone in a storm. When he spots a cave in a nearby cliff face, figuring it is better than getting struck by lightning out here. Inside, he just watches the downpour, shivering, but then he gets this weird feeling looking deeper into the cave, because the outside felt scary but the inside seems mystical, so he just stands there taking in the strange, quiet darkness. So he ventures deeper into the cave all alone and spots a little yellow slime just sitting there. First thought, a real slime. He has got to check it out, but a giant buffalo monster shows up, ruining the moment. Our boy is understandably freaking out. Wait, that is King Buffalo from the parade, what is he doing here? His survival instincts finally kick in, screaming, run. This slime just lets out a little puroo sound, completely oblivious. Yet Teishi hesitates, looking back at the little guy, feeling awful, thinking he is too weak to help. Meanwhile, King Buffalo is eyeing the slime like a snack, so the kid turns to bolt, choosing self-preservation. With shaking legs, he forces himself to move. But this whole thing triggers another memory back at the exhibit, where he saw that slime model on a pedestal. He remembers the plaque, F-rank, timid and lonely. That memory hits him hard and something just clicks just as the buffalo opens its mouth for the kill. Teishi dives in, shielding the slime with his own body. And the monster just stops, completely shocked to see a human. King Buffalo is just baffled as Teishi introduces himself while checking on the slime, and his logic is simple: if they are both weak and scared, then the only option is to run like hell, slime in hand. So he scoops up his new friend and bolts from the cave. Even as he runs, he is not sure why he did it, but something just told him he could not abandon the little blob. This slime just keeps saying Puron, which gives him an idea. And so he names it Puron, a real stroke of genius. He vows to make a contract and be together forever right before his mom crushes his dreams, as his parents explain the whole illegal monster kidnapping thing. This order is simple: take the slime right back where he found it, and his folks watch him go, calling it a valuable life lesson. Back in the woods, he has to apologize for being too weak for a contract, putting Puron down right back where this whole thing started. For a goodbye present, he offers up a piece of bread, and Puron just happily munches away, completely content. Taishi apologizes again, saying he is just not strong enough to stay, but the little slime just gives him this adorable, happy smile, and through tears he swears he will get stronger in return for it. This last thing he saw was that smile as he walked away, so the flashback ends with Taishi walking away, leaving Puron all alone. Little did he know that cave was an S-rank dungeon, a minor detail, and for the next 6 years nothing changed for him, still F-rank, still bullied. This one who asterisk did change was Puron, who apparently hit a massive growth spurt. Snapping back to now, he is just hugging Puron, totally overwhelmed with relief, tearing up as he apologizes for taking so long to come back for him. But Puron is just thrilled, letting out a happy little war cry. And then it hits Taishi: did this tiny slime just one-shot a freaking dragon? He is just in awe, admitting he is still a powerless F-rank by comparison. But the little guy just nuzzles right up to him, completely unfazed. Realizing what is happening, Taishi asks if Puron wants to form a contract, but he has to break the news: he is not qualified, so it is impossible. Puron just ignores that, looking like it has a plan, much to his confusion. When suddenly that winged classmate is there and a system window pops up. He is just as confused as everyone else, staring at this glowing orange screen, and the contract is wild. It is asking if asterisk Taishi will inherit asterisk Puron's asterisk abilities. This winged kid is completely floored, realizing he is part of this insane offer, and even starts floating, totally baffled by this whole situation, as the system prompt just hangs there, waiting for a choice. His mind is just blown by the possibility of Taishi inheriting these powers. Puron lets out a determined little cry, ready to make this happen, and Taishi looks back, a silent understanding passing between them. Then with a small, confident smile, he makes his choice. His finger taps yes on the system prompt, no hesitation at all, and the entire area just explodes in a blinding pillar of golden light, completely swallowing Taishi as he screams, caught in the raw energy. The sheer force of it all lifts his body right off the ground, but when the light fades, it is the winged classmate left standing there. He looks himself over, totally confused, noticing no changes whatsoever, until a crucial memory suddenly clicks into place. He recalls the golden rule: you cannot contract a monster ranked higher than you are, so he figures the whole thing must have failed and Puron is gone. Then the little slime just plops right onto his head, much to his shock. And he starts apologizing for being too weak, which is a very weird thing for him to say. Puron, completely ignoring this, wraps around his face like a gooey blindfold, which sends the poor guy stumbling backward right onto the ground. Sitting up, he is totally baffled, asking what Puron just did to his eyes, and as his vision clears, his expression is pure disbelief, because now he can see Puron's attribute window floating right in front of him. And the stats are just insane, level 777 in SSS class. His new vision kicks in, analyzing everything around him, and he gets a good look at the Black Dragon's stats, level 246. So Puron really was stronger, and this info vision is its power. Meanwhile, Puron is drooling, looking absolutely ravenous, which is when Taishi realizes it wants to eat the dragon. He has seen monster meat for sale, but a whole dragon is a bit much for takeout. Then it hits him: Puron has a transcendent storage skill. So he gives the order, telling Puron to store the entire dragon. This little slime just slurps the whole thing up, taking Taishi with it for a second. Our boy is just completely floored by this display of power, celebrating as he holds up his little god-tier slime like a champion. Overjoyed, he is just glad they are finally back together again. He even asks if Puron remembers the bread from all those years ago, and as they head off, he promises to get some when they get home. But Puron suddenly tenses up on his shoulder, because a giant spider monster just dropped in to say hello. This thing has a seriously creepy humanoid face, by the way. It looms over them, interrupting their wholesome reunion with pure nightmare fuel. Taishi gets to his feet, eyes wide, saying he can see it, and a new stat window pops up for the queen spider, level 207. Puron instantly becomes a cushion for Taishi, right under the spider's creepy gaze. That monster wastes no time, bringing a razor-sharp leg down to strike, but Puron zips them both out of the way, dodging the attack with ease. So the queen spider switches tactics, firing a nasty purple beam from its mouth, and the blast just misses, splattering right beside a very startled Taishi. That purple goo starts melting the ground, which is generally a bad sign. Taishi looks on, completely horrified by the rock-melting acid. His new analysis power kicks in, warning him the poison is deadly and the spider is fast. Yet Puron just pops up, ready for round 2, looking completely unbothered. This little slime launches itself right at the spider's face, all guts, no fear. Seeing his chance, Taishi shouts out the weak spot: go for the head. This spider just gives this smug little smirk, like it has heard that one before. It opens its mouth wide, spitting another glob of that deadly poison, which hits Puron dead on, covering the poor slime in purple gunk. For a second, it looks like Puron is actually dissolving, completely knocked out. This queen spider looks pretty pleased with itself, thinking the fight is over, but suddenly a flash of golden light blasts right toward its face, slicing clean through the spider's armored body in a brilliant flash. And wait, is that Taishi? He has got red hair and is wielding Puron as a sword. Turns out the contract was a success, and our boy just got a serious glow-up. The spider queen looks down, saying she finally understands him, and Taishi swings his Puron scythe, declaring he knows how to beat her too. But then the light fades, and he is back to his normal, non-glowing self, just smiling as he tells Puron it is finally time to go home together. So they bike through the quiet streets, Puron chilling in the front basket, It is a peaceful trip back to his apartment complex, where he proudly announces their arrival, bike in tow. He's all hyped up, ready to show Puron its new digs, until his face just completely falls in sudden panic, because his room is an absolute disaster zone, a true teenage wasteland. He immediately starts a frantic cleanup, begging Puron for just a minute, swearing he usually keeps it clean, a likely story. Puron does not seem to mind, happily bouncing on his now clean desk, but then its eyes go wide, spotting something important. A small shrine with framed photos of Taishi's family. Our boy quietly pulls out a match and lights some incense for them. He explains that his parents passed away and now he lives here all alone. But with a smile, he says from now on he will have Puron by his side. Then he asks if it is hungry, and Puron's face says you have no idea. Taishi opens the fridge, hoping for a culinary miracle, and finds 2 eggs and some mayo, the diet of champions. With his living expenses gone, he is officially broke and starving. But Puron pops up looking like it has a 5-star solution, and promptly transforms into a tiny, adorable golden dragon. Taishi is a little confused, asking if it is the black dragon, remembering that Puron literally ate the whole thing earlier. A look of pure genius crosses his face, because he realizes they have a walking, talking SSS-class pantry. So he asks the little guy how to access the dragon meat buffet, and considers just telling it to release everything from storage. His mind immediately flashes to his apartment building getting crushed by a dragon corpse, so he frantically clarifies, "Just a little piece, please," and just like that a perfectly portioned dragon tail steak appears. He is a bit skeptical, but Puron is already drooling with anticipation. Our boy decides to cook it, figuring it cannot be that different from regular meat. He stands there with a knife debating grill versus steam like a master chef, then brings the knife down to make the first cut, and the blade just completely shatters on the dragon hide. Taishi is left standing there holding a useless handle, completely baffled. Taishi realizes an SS-class dragon is a bit above a kitchen knife's pay grade, and he is once again floored by just how powerful Puron has become. This little slime just wiggles on the table, ready for its gourmet meal. So Taishi asks it to prepare the meat, deciding to investigate the mystery later. A little while after, back in their apartment, Puron has somehow whipped up a full-on medieval banquet. Taishi says his thanks, telling his little buddy to dig in, and Puron looks like it is about to unhinge its non-existent jaw. It unleashes a gooey tentacle storm, inhaling the entire feast in one go, leaving our boy completely stunned by the now empty table. He has to yell at it not to eat the actual plates, and Puron just sits there looking adorably unrepentant. This kid asks if it is still hungry, offering to cook up round 2, so he whips up an even bigger pile of food for the little glutton. This one also vanishes in a literal blink, much to his horror, and Puron is just sitting there still looking peckish. With a determined grin, Taishi promises to go all out this time, presenting a glowing mountain of dragon meat that fills a whole bowl. But even that disappears and he is just screaming into the night, because this feeding frenzy apparently lasts until sunrise. This next morning, Taishi's already stressing about his grocery bill, which now includes SSS-class monsters, but he is just happy to have his buddy back, even if it is a bottomless pit. He kneels down, realizing this is not a dream. It feels like he has finally found family again. With a huge smile, he promises Puron they will be happy together from now on. But then morning reality hits, and it is time to get ready for school, which triggers a nasty memory of some blonde punk's threat about being his toy. Taishi's good mood just completely evaporates, his face going grim, as he remembers the constant bullying and the price for failing some request. Not wanting Puron to see his pathetic school life, he decides to leave it behind. But his little slime buddy has other plans, popping right onto his shoulder. He tries to reason with it, saying he will be back after school with more food, and Puron is absolutely not having it, throwing a full-on slime tantrum. Our boy explains that SSS-class slimes are not exactly on the school supply list, which just unleashes the waterworks. We are talking full-blown separation anxiety. Defeated by the tears, Taishi caves immediately, but with one condition, and so they head off to the prestigious Academy of Teenage Misery. He walks onto campus, already looking like he is heading to his own execution, reminding Puron of the deal: stay hidden in the backpack no matter what. Of course, the blonde bully from his memories immediately shows up to ruin his day, and with his goons in tow, he is here to collect on that promise, calling Taishi an F-rank. This goons waste no time, shoving Taishi right to the floor, and the blonde punk Shota gloats that he has been waiting for him. He mockingly asks how the SS-rank dungeon was. What a great friend. Taishi gets to his knees, repeating the question like he cannot believe the audacity, but then he clutches his bag, saying that thanks to Shota, he was actually happy. Our boy looks him dead in the eye, completely flipping the script on them. Shota's crew is totally thrown off, reminding Taishi he is in no place to talk back. This bully just demands the footage Taishi was forced to film for him. Taishi just stands there, a whole new person from the kid who used to cower. His mind flashes back to a giant dragon foot about to stomp, right on top of the very expensive camera he was supposed to be using, and the realization hits him like a truck. He completely forgot about it. He starts spiraling about the cost while Shota gets mad about being ignored. This bully's hand starts glowing, ready to teach Taishi a lesson for his attitude. But a very angry Puron pops out, ready to defend its new dad. Shota recoils, wondering if that is seriously just the weakest monster, a slime. His lackeys agree, thinking Taishi is just trying to get a rise out of their boss. This punk is absolutely furious, convinced he is being mocked. Puron just glares back, radiating some serious try-me energy. So Shota lunges forward, hand crackling, about to find out what an SSS-class slime can do. A sudden blast of power sends the goons flying, and they think it is Shota's. But Teishi calls them idiots. That is not Shota's power at all, because it is coming from him, our boy Teishi, with Puron looking smug. Shota's just planted on the ground, completely losing his mind, and his lackeys scramble to help, but their boss can only stare at Teishi. This bully's mind is just completely short-circuiting right now, because in his eyes, Teishi has become an absolute giant. So his cronies decide to attack, calling him a bastard for protecting a weakling, and Teishi just casually blocks a kick with his shoe, no effort at all. Another goon's punch is stopped cold by his forearm, as he holds them both at bay, telling them to stay out of it. He then grabs both their heads, asking if they'd like to get beaten to death. And just like that, the goons are on the ground, a crowd gathering to watch. A blonde girl and her friends start gossiping about the bullied kid from Shota's class, and she just wonders if Shota's mad, starting drama this early. Our boy is now standing over all three of his former tormentors. Looking down, he explains this is what it feels like, and he holds up his hands almost in wonder at his own strength. A dark smile spreads across his face as he gets it now, the pleasure of being superior. Shota can only kneel there, absolutely seething with rage and humiliation. Teishi, with some serious villain energy, gives Shota one last chance to apologize, and also to beg for his life, for old time's sake. Shota is absolutely livid that his favorite toy is fighting back. He grabs Teishi's wrist, channeling his own power to put him in his place, then charges forward, screaming about how dare he act so high and mighty. Our boy just grins, totally welcoming the fight because this is way more fun. But the blonde girl from the crowd rushes in, trying to stop Teishi's revenge tour. She puts a hand on his chest to block him, getting a nasty shock for her trouble. Teishi just freezes, completely thrown off by her sudden intervention. She is left clutching her now injured arm while Shota looks on, stunned. At that moment, an angry yellow blur streaks through the air, and Puron just flattens Shota, turning into a protective goo puddle. This bully is down for the count, his cronies just watching the whole mess unfold. He weakly reaches out, calling the girl by her name, Akazuki. Akazuki kneels, begging Teishi not to become the very thing he hates. Despite her bleeding arm, she tells him he is supposed to be a kind person. Her words hit him like a truck, and he just stares at his own hand, then looks at the whispering crowd, realizing he has become the new villain. It sinks in that he was enjoying it, enjoying hurting people with his new power. He apologizes and tells her to see the nurse, but she just wants to go to class. Shota's having a full-on meltdown, screaming that he will kill everyone, but Teishi just turns his back, his expression completely cold. He calmly utters a single, chilling word, seal. Suddenly, Shota is blasted backwards, his hands bound by glowing golden rings, leaving the bully on his knees, staring at his now useless hands in disbelief. His lackeys can only gape, pointing out that their boss has been neutralized. Teishi explains the new status quo. Shota's power is gone, completely locked away. With a terrifying new aura, he tells them to come find him if they ever want it back. This three of them are just frozen, their brains totally short-circuiting. All Shota can do is scream his impotent rage into the rainy sky. Teishi then starts tearing his own school uniform to shreds, and when Akazuki asks what he is doing, he just says he will not be needing it anymore. He drops the bomb right there. He is quitting school, effective immediately. With a final thank you to Akazuki, he walks out into the rain, leaving it all behind. And just like that, school life moves on without him under a clear blue sky. Sometime later, we find Teishi at what looks like a government office, where he is officially filing his withdrawal paperwork to make it final. Back on campus, the gossip mill is already churning about him dropping out, and students notice that Shota and his crew have been acting weirdly quiet ever since the incident. Shota just sits at his desk, fist clenched, seething over his total humiliation. Shota's still stewing in class, his ego completely shattered. Meanwhile, Teishi's walking with a purpose, not a care in the world, until he spots a familiar face just ahead of him, and it is Akazuki, the girl who took a shock for him. He immediately asks about her arm, but she waves it off, saying she is all patched up. Our boy apologizes again, looking genuinely guilty for hurting her, but she just smiles, telling him to stop worrying about it. She then asks why he is here, and he drops the bomb about his withdrawal papers. Teishi even notes how easy it was, like the school could not wait to get rid of him. Akazuki tries to talk him out of it, but his mind is made up. It is not possible to stay. He explains that with his uncontrollable power, he is a danger to everyone at school. To use this strength properly, he has to become a real ranker, not a high school kid. She looks worried, asking if he will be okay all on his own, and with a grin, he reveals his secret weapon, the all-powerful Puron. Akazuki puts it together, realizing this little slime is why he is so confident now. Puron, for its part, looks deeply unimpressed with her analysis. Deciding to trust him, she says she will be rooting for him no matter what. Teishi thanks her, vowing to himself that he will repay her kindness one day. She's just happy he noticed she was trying to help all along, and then she slides in with the ultimate move, asking for his number. She gives him her number, telling him to call her if anything happens, and with a wave, she promises they will see each other again. But not even a minute later, his phone is already ringing. It is Akazuki, of course, reminding him to save her number and repay her kindness. And Teishi just agrees while Puron gives some serious side-eye to the whole situation. Then she drops a bomb. She always believed he survived the SS rank dungeon, leaving our boy completely stunned by her faith in him. Turns out she is Akazuki Karin, heir to a massive corporation and also a model. And he is just processing that the school's most popular girl is from a totally different world. Or at least, that is what he used to think, patting his little slime buddy, while Puron just lets out a determined little squeak. And in her car, Akazuki is looking at her phone, tapping the screen as she gets ready to make another call, this time asking about her mom, who we learn is doing okay, as the person on the other end tells her not to worry because things will get better. And for a moment, she just listens quietly. But then a smile breaks through as she says she truly believes it. Back on the street, Teishi tells Puron it is time to make some new plans, because now that he has dropped out, a part-time job just will not cut it. But his first order of business is asking his all-powerful slime if it is hungry. Teishi checks his phone, deciding to treat his slime buddy to a good meal, and they duck into a quiet little restaurant to celebrate their new freedom, where the chef welcomes him, asking for the party size. Our boy cheekily holds up 2 fingers, warning the chef that his little friend eats a ton, which must be true because a while later the chef is stepping outside and slapping a closed sign on the door because they are completely out of ingredients. Walking away, Teishi's just happy Puron got a full stomach, but a quick look at his bank account reveals the absolutely devastating cost of that feast. He realizes that to keep this lifestyle up, they are gonna need a lot more money, and a new determination hardens in his eyes. It is time to get paid. His only real option is standing right in front of him, the Dungeon Association, and so he arrives at the local branch ready to start his new career path. Inside, it is way quieter than he expected, almost totally empty, so he heads straight for the information desk to get registered. He nervously tries to get the attention of the guy at the counter, and a very chill-looking bald man with a goatee welcomes him to the association. This whole lobby is just them, which is still a little unsettling, but the receptionist just asks how he can help, looking friendly enough. Though Teishi cannot help but feel a little intimidated, wondering if he is security, then the guy cracks his knuckles and suddenly the vibe is not so chill anymore. This guy plays it off, claiming he was just swatting a gnat, totally believable. With a very suspicious glare, he asks Teishi what he wants. Our boy says he is here to sell something while Puron looks deeply unimpressed. He mentions hunting the black, just as a news report warns about kids robbing rankers, and apparently the government is cracking down on low rankers selling high-level loot. Teishi has a full-blown panic attack, realizing he is basically suspect number one. This receptionist looms over him, asking if he really wants to sell it, leaving our boy sweating, trying to think his way out of this mess. Then a spark of genius hits him, or maybe just pure desperation. He slaps down some papers on the counter instead and pivots hard, declaring he is here to sell himself for a quest. This guy just asks his rank, and Teishi meekly admits he is F rank. He gets a bureaucratic smackdown. F rankers go to the volunteer department. Teishi knows volunteer work will not cover Puron's 5-star dining habits, so he boldly asks for a B rank quest or higher. This receptionist is just stunned, repeating a B rank quest. With a huge grin, Teishi says he and his friend can handle it no problem, but the guy's face is a perfect picture of "I do not get paid enough for this." He then asks if this legendary friend is the slime on his shoulder, and Teishi proudly introduces Puron, his all-powerful quest-clearing sidekick, and Puron lets out a battle cry, totally ready to throw down. But the receptionist is not convinced, pointing out the absurdity of their request. So Teishi lays it on thick. He is an orphan, a dropout, and just needs money to live. This guy's eyes narrow, his entire focus zeroing in on the word money. Our boy just stares back, his resolve unshaken, and then the receptionist's entire demeanor flips, looking completely inspired. He is literally crying, calling Teishi's desperate plea for cash admirable conviction. This dude launches into a full-on corporate speech about passion and improving rankers' lives, wiping away a tear, completely overcome by this kid's hustle. Then he slams a paper on the desk, declaring he has the perfect B-rank quest. It is a simple gathering mission in a B-rank dungeon, collecting mana grass, no fighting required. This payout is 4,000 yen per stock, which is a killer rate for some glorified weed picking. Teishi quickly realizes one good trip could cover their expenses for months. And to make it even easier, the guy offers a map of safe, monster-light zones. Our boy bows deeply, thanking him for this incredible opportunity. This receptionist introduces himself as Takahara Goichi, even offering his personal contact info. With their new mission secured, Teishi and Puron walk out looking confident. Takahara watches them go, a thoughtful look on his face. This F-rank and slime combo is interesting. And that is a wrap on Chapter 8, with our duo finally on a real mission. This scene shifts to a bright blue sky, a perfect start to their new adventure. And so they arrive at the B-rank dungeon, which looks surprisingly peaceful. Teishi immediately pulls up the map Takahara gave him, all the safe spots marked, and our boy is loving this cheat sheet, making the whole thing feel way too easy. He is confident they can just waltz in and grab the goods, no sweat at all. While along the way, they spot a dungeon flower that glows with magic. A neat little detail that has Teishi already thinking about its practical uses. But sightseeing's over, it is time to use his appraisal skill to find the real prize, which basically turns the entire forest into his personal video game HUD. Then a scream rips through the supposedly safe zone, getting Teishi's immediate and very confused attention, because someone is literally plummeting right out of the treetops. Thinking fast, he yells for his trusty slime sidekick Puron. And Puron zips into action, a blur of determined goo, instantly morphing into the supreme cushion, because of course that is a skill. This landing is effective if not exactly elegant, and Teishi rushes over, already questioning the logic of climbing trees in a dungeon. She thanks him for the save, then does a double take, realizing her rescuer is a guy. Teishi just repeats the million-dollar question, what was she even doing up there? Turns out she was risking life and limb for a single magic stone, leaving him baffled since those are a dime a dozen before she guesses he is after mana grass too. She explains she is a NEET, so she deliberately hunts for scraps when dungeons are empty, and Teishi is just completely baffled by her extreme commitment to avoiding people. As thanks, she offers him the magic stone, but he clarifies they are after mana grass, which conveniently she knows exactly where to find, pointing them in the right direction. Teishi figures they only need about 10 stocks to make bank, but she casually mentions there are actually several hundred of them. A literal glowing field of cash just waiting to be picked. Our boy's eyes turn into dollar signs as he demands to know the location, and she explains it is in a cave deep inside an F-rank dungeon's unknown territory. He is ready to bolt, but she frantically clarifies she meant the grass asterisk around the cave, not in it. She warns him that the cave itself is full of deadly monsters, a total death trap, but Teishi just smirks, completely confident they will be fine, zero survival instincts, all ego. He then proceeds to nickname her Nitsan and drags her along for the ride, leading them to a surprisingly beautiful, sun-drenched part of the forest. Pushing through the dense foliage, they finally get a look at their destination. And there it is, the spooky death cave she was warning them about. Teishi completely ignores her warnings, turning to his trusty slime sidekick instead, and Puron puffs up, ready to unleash some serious, world-breaking power. This little slime launches itself like a golden torpedo straight for the cave entrance, disappearing into the pitch-black darkness of the monster-infested lair. A massive crash echoes from the cave, and Nitsan is already panicking. But Teishi, completely unbothered, just tells her to come on, he has got a schedule to keep. So into the spooky death cave they go, where she is immediately complaining that this is way too much effort for a NEET. Then something spooks her so bad her hair literally stands on end, revealing a dead C-rank monster, a bubble salamander, which is not reassuring. She is terrified, wondering what could have killed it, but Teishi's just vibing, because the path ahead is just a graveyard of monster corpses, a real welcome mat. Our boy explains Puron is just clearing the way and Nitsan's brain just short-circuits. Suddenly, the whole cave starts shaking violently, and rocks start raining down from the ceiling as the place collapses. From the darkness above, a giant eye opens, revealing a B-rank stone golem. And this absolute unit peels itself right off the cave wall, ready to rumble. It attacks instantly, forcing Teishi to shove Nitsan to safety, leaving him wondering how his all-powerful slime scout could have missed this thing. He tells her to find cover because apparently it is hero time, but she is begging him not to go, screaming that it is way too dangerous. Teishi just charges straight at the giant rock monster, zero hesitation, all confidence. He plants his feet, deciding a head-on attack is the only logical move. And with the golem looming over him, he calls for his secret weapon, Puron. But before the golem can even move, Puron's eyes glow from the darkness, and the little slime shoots through it like a golden cannonball, leaving Teishi to land safely, coated in a protective layer of his best friend. This B-rank monster just crumbles into a pile of very expensive pebbles. From the sidelines, Nitsan's brain is just a blue screen of death, and she rushes over to check on him, but our boy is completely fine. He gives a quick thanks to Puron, who is back to being a cute shoulder blob. Her mind is just blown, a B-rank threat was deleted in one hit by a slime. Teishi, ever the smooth operator, compliments her monster knowledge instead, which just leaves her stammering, trying to explain the real reason. She knows monster weaknesses so she can be a more effective coward. As she starts her tragic backstory, Teishi gets completely distracted by rare plants, and just walks off to find the mana grass, leaving her mid-trauma dump. He pulls up his phone, letting Nitsan see exactly what she is dealing with, revealing Puron's stats, level 777 SSS rank, and absolute god-tier slime. Teishi credits this insane power not to luck, but to the power of friendship. He gives a whole heartfelt speech about their bond being the ultimate power-up, which completely wins over Nitsan, who is now their #1 fan. But then Puron perks up, sensing something important nearby, and it looks like the slime has found their glowing green jackpot. And they have found it not just hundreds, but thousands asterisk of mana grass stalks. Nitsan immediately starts making money angels, while Teishi calculates they are set for a year. With their goal met, he starts packing up his bag, calling it a day and telling Nitsan they have enough, much to her confusion. Teishi explains that taking everything is overkill, he only needs some for now. Then he gets all philosophical about the ecosystem, a true dungeon environmentalist. He even tells her to only take what she needs, leaving the rest behind. Nitsan is just stunned, completely moved by this kid's sudden principles. She is officially a convert, praising his thoughtfulness as he invites her to leave with them. But her fangirling is cut short by a giant boar monster bursting out of the cave. This thing is charging full speed, tusks gleaming and ready to kill. It is a blur of pure monster rage, closing the distance in a heartbeat. Teishi screams a warning, completely caught off guard by the ambush. This is not just a boar, it is a bipedal boar man, an absolute beast of a monster. Our boy reaches out, a flicker of power gathering in his hand. He clenches his fist, bracing for a direct confrontation. This monster's eyes narrow, sensing something is very wrong, right before it gets absolutely clocked in the face by an unseen force. A storm of golden projectiles slams into its head in a one-sided beatdown, sending the massive beast flying backwards, completely overwhelmed. Teishi catches his breath, the immediate danger now over. And from the defeated boar's mouth pops a tiny, goo-covered Nitsan. Our boy rushes over, checking if she is okay after being swallowed for her own safety. She is completely bewildered, describing her trip inside Puron as a warm, weird place. With the danger past, he is just relieved, admitting it was a seriously close call. But the kid is genuinely shaken, realizing how close she came to getting splattered. She tries to lighten the mood, thanking him for the save while Puron looks smug on her head. But he gets real quiet, saying he does not want to lose anyone important again. This sudden vulnerability completely catches her off guard, so she just launches herself at him in a hug, promising not to die because she is precious now. Teishi immediately tries to clarify that is not what he meant, but she has already decided. Sometime later, they arrive at the Dungeon Association to finally cash in. And inside, the crowd is already sending Nitsan into a full-blown panic. She's clinging to him for dear life, but Teishi reminds her this is how they get paid. At the counter, they are greeted by their old contact, Takahara-san, and Teishi introduces his new partner, who is internally convinced Takahara is a monster himself. This big guy leans in, skeptically asking just how much grass they actually found. His jaw just about hits the floor when he sees the massive haul they brought back, leading him to guess they went to the forbidden Birank cave, which Teishi confirms. When asked about the Birank boar, Teishi casually mentions they one-shot it and offers to sell the parts, a total power flex. Takahara's brain short-circuits as Nitsan calls Teishi out for trying to sell Puron's lunch, and the guy realizes that one-shotting the boar means they cleared a Birank dungeon. Nitsan immediately goes into full hype woman mode while Teishi tries to downplay the whole thing. He just holds up a hand, desperately trying to get her to chill for a second, but she is already celebrating like she won the lottery as Takahara starts the paperwork. This whole time, Takahara is just trying to process how an F-rank kid with a slime beat a B-rank boss. Their insane feat is already drawing stares from every other adventurer in the lobby. Then the payment notification hits their phones and they both just stare in disbelief at the number. When asked about his plans, Teishi's big move is paying rent and buying Puron snacks. Takahara just smiles, completely unsurprised by our boy's very grounded priorities. As they head out, some guy with an eye patch is definitely clocking their every move. Takahara also watches them go, thinking he is going to be seeing a lot more of this duo. This scene cuts to a bright blue sky, marking the end of one adventure. Outside, Nitsan thanks Teishi, getting emotional about how he has changed her perspective. She has had a full-on epiphany, deciding it is time to actually start living for herself. Teishi gives her an encouraging thumbs up as she vows to become as cool as them. Waving goodbye, she promises to be a whole new person next time they team up. After she is gone, Teishi tells Puron it has brought him good connections too. He then leans in to whisper their top-secret post-payday mission. It is time to go shopping, and Puron could not be more excited. Their big shopping trip starts with the absolute essentials, a frying pan followed by a much-needed wardrobe upgrade for our dapper duo, and then it is off to the bakery where they both drool over the pastries. Because back home, Teishi immediately sets his new pan on fire, a culinary genius. After that cooking disaster, it is time for a nice long bath, and Teishi surfaces from the water, finally feeling at peace. He is soaking up the good life, saying it is the best feeling ever, while Puron joins in, looking completely blissed out in the tub. But the good mood fades as Teishi's thoughts start to drift, his mind now on school and wondering how Nitsan is holding up. Puron, ever the wise counselor, suggests he should just contact her, and out of the bath, Teishi actually considers the slime's advice. He grabs his phone but immediately starts overthinking the whole thing. Because even though she said to call, his social anxiety is kicking in hard. Deciding a call is too bold, he settles on maybe sending an email as Puron judges him silently. Just then, his phone starts buzzing on the table, catching him completely off guard. And look who it is, Nitsan herself is calling him at that very moment. He nervously answers, barely getting a hello out as she asks how he is. So Teishi quickly says he is fine and flips the question back to her. And from her end, she says she is okay, but trails off with a heavy but. We cut to some rando with glasses who is thinking about Teishi's progress, but our boy is on the phone with a completely new girl, Kazuki-san. She says she is fine but brings up some bully from school named Kasai, and just hearing that name makes Teishi's face twist in disgust. Puron looks smug, confirming this bully got some well-deserved karma. While Kazuki-san calls the guy hopeless, promising he will get what is coming. Teishi senses there is a real reason for her call though, and she drops a bomb asking about his parents' death. He gets quiet as she asks how painful it must have been. Our boy admits that it was and that it still hurts. She immediately backpedals, apologizing for bringing up something so heavy, but he flips it, saying he will live happily for them with his new friends. Which completely melts her heart, leaving her blushing on the other end. As he is about to hang up, he feels like something is still wrong, and the scene cuts to her hand, clutching her phone in a very sterile-looking room. Turns out she is in a hospital, sitting by someone's bedside. After the call, Teishi just sits in silence, processing everything. Turning to his slime, he asks if Puron also sensed something was off with her, and the little blob's worried face confirms his fears. Staring at his phone, he wants to help but is already overthinking things. Puron's just vibrating along with the phone on Teishi's lap, and our boy is staring at the screen, completely paralyzed by social anxiety. This next day, we cut to his old high school, where Teishi has been summoned to the principal's office, looking absolutely thrilled. Turns out, his teacher called to discuss his voluntary withdrawal from school. And that same teacher is now watching him walk down the hall, recognizing the name Yuzukura. This entire student body is already gossiping about the kid who cleared a B-rank dungeon. Inside the office, the principal gives him a warm welcome, but Teishi just cuts to the chase. And the big offer is out, they want to cancel his withdrawal and have him come back. Teishi is just stunned, completely blindsided by this sudden change of heart. This principal explains that Kazuki-san told him the real reason he quit school. So his old teacher has the nerve to say he should have spoken up, while Teishi remembers being ignored. With a straight face, the principal promises to resolve the bullying immediately. What a guy. They are even offering him special treatment, just file dungeon reports and he gets a free pass. So the school knows all about his adventure work and Puron is not impressed. This principal starts probing, asking why he hid his power and if he is aiming for a rank next. Then he is all smiles, practically begging him to stay and bring glory to their asterisk school. It finally clicks for Teishi, this is not an apology, it is a recruitment pitch. So he politely declines, saying he is happy with his new life, thank you very much. This principal just chalks it up to emotional wounds, completely missing the entire point. This teacher then presents his old bullies who apparently have something to say, and our boy's face goes cold as he spots the ringleader, Cassie. Cass awkwardly tries to start a conversation, looking like he'd rather be anywhere else, all while the principal leans back in his chair, enjoying the show he has orchestrated. Then comes the big apology bow, just dripping with sincerity, I am sure, leaving Taishi completely speechless at this sudden, convenient remorse. His old teacher lays on the guilt, asking him to be manly and just accept it, while the principal sweetens the deal, even offering to punish the staff who ignored him. All Taishi has to do is be their shiny new pride and joy, no pressure at all. For a split second, he actually considers it, thinking this could be his chance at a normal life. But then his eyes narrow as he realizes the truth of the situation. Because on his lap, Puron is absolutely seething with rage. This little slime is giving off some serious bloodlust. This same kind he feels around actual monsters, a pretty good read of the room. So Taishi grabs his bag, coolly telling them he will consider it. As he gets up to leave, the teacher tries to call him back, but the principal just scoffs, his whole power play totally falling apart. From the doorway, Kasai drops the act immediately, calling him a bastard. Now in the hallway, Taishi just holds Puron close, telling his furious little partner to calm down now that it is over. Taishi tells Puron he is finally over this school, admitting he had some lingering feelings. But then Akazuki-san sprints down the hall, calling out to him. Our boy greets her and she is already blushing up a storm. They end up outside just watching the other students go about their day. And she is just happy the whole withdrawal thing is cancelled, but he insists she is the one who helped. Akazuki-san notices he is not happy, and Taishi admits he is not sure this is what he wants. She tries to convince him, saying graduating is the best thing for his future. And then she drops the bomb, saying she wants to spend her school life with him, leaving him stunned. His brain immediately short-circuits. Is this a confession? He is trying to stay calm, wondering if she actually has feelings for him as she looks at her phone. So he leans in, trying to be smooth, asking if she meant that in a special way, only for her to be on a phone call, leaving him hanging in the most awkward way possible. As soon as the call ends, she just takes off running, leaving him confused. Taishi is left sitting there, totally baffled by her sudden exit. She is not just leaving, she is sprinting away from the school grounds. That is his cue, something is definitely wrong, and he immediately gives chase. This chase leads them straight to a huge, modern-looking hospital. He catches up to her in a hallway where she is standing with some adults and police officers. He notices the crowd gathered outside one specific room, realizing someone must be inside. And there she is, talking to some serious-looking man in a suit, her expression grim. This scene cuts to Akazuki-san on the floor, crying out for her mom in front of her dad and some guards. And Taishi just watches from the hallway, completely floored by what is happening. He is now sitting with her father, who asks if he is in the same class as his daughter Karin. Taishi confirms they were, but adds that he already quit school. Then it clicks, this is Akazuki Kazuma, the super famous chairman he has only ever seen on the news. This chairman thanks him for being Karin's friend, admitting he was a neglectful father who used work as an excuse. But Taishi insists she was the one who took care of him, always looking out for her friends. Her dad explains she used to be a bright kid, but her personality changed when her mom got sick. And we see her mom in the hospital bed with the chairman blaming himself for it all. He is just sitting there, completely consumed by regret for not being there for his family. Taishi finally gets the courage to ask if her mother's condition is bad. And her dad just drops the bombshell. The doctor told them to prepare for the worst. He is a man with infinite money, but he is completely powerless to save her. Our boy just looks down, processing this incredibly heavy news. This hits way too close to home, reminding him of the helplessness he felt when his own parents died. He then starts to tell her dad about something Akazuki-san once said to him, flashing back to when she asked him to study together, saying he was good at math. Taishi clarifies that she was the real genius, always #1 in every exam. She even suggested they share secret study notes and compete, a true friendly rival. And he tells her dad that those simple words were what encouraged him to keep moving forward. Taishi tells her dad he wants to help Akazuki-san for a change, and her dad is just relieved she has a good friend, hoping he sticks around. Just then, an assistant interrupts. The chairman's got an online meeting. So this guy has to apologize for working at a time like this. What a life. Before leaving, he asks Taishi for one favor, stay with Karin since he will be late, and our boy immediately agrees, already calling him father-in-law in his head. Instantly regretting that thought, he tries to remind his brain this is a serious situation. While inside the room, the heart monitor just keeps beeping away. Taishi and Puron peek through the door to check on her, finding Akazuki-sen just sitting quietly by her mom's bed. Back in the hallway, he sits in silence, Puron perched on his shoulder, asking his little slime if there is any way to heal her mother, convinced there is a way. Meanwhile, Akazuki-sen is thinking about how she wants to repay him, and that is when Puron gets a very determined look on its face. This little blob starts vibrating right on top of Taishi's head, shaking with some kind of sudden inspiration. And then a bright light just bursts from the little guy, revealing the image of a glowing, ethereal blue flower. Taishi is just stunned, realizing this must be some kind of clue, and Puron hops to the floor, ready to lead him to whatever that flower is. Puron gets a look of pure, unadulterated focus, and then sprouts a little flower out of its side just to demonstrate, creating a perfect slime replica of the miracle cure. With a mighty heave, the little guy starts to transform, turning into a Gigachad slime, flexing to show how serious this is. Taishi immediately gets it, asking if that plant can save her mom, then scoops up his partner, totally hyped and ready for a quest. On his head, Puron starts glowing, basically acting as a GPS to their goal, projecting an image of an SS-rank dungeon because of course it is an SS-rank dungeon. Our boy's excitement dies down, worried this place is traumatic for Puron. But the little slime is all in, ready to face its past to help. Fired up, Teishi yells that they are going for it, only to be overheard by a Kazuki-san. He immediately apologizes for being loud, but she is just glad he is there, telling him to go home while he accidentally calls her dad father-in-law again. She is clearly touched by his dedication, thanking him quietly. When he asks if she is okay, she puts on a brave face, saying her mom will pull through. Teishi wisely decides now is not the time to mention the whole suicide mission to an SS-rank dungeon plan. Instead, he reminds her of the day he quit school, flashing back to him promising to repay her kindness one day, and he throws her own words back at her to never ever give up. Akazuki-san is left completely speechless by his promise, a blush creeping across her face. And with a quiet yeah, their moment at the hospital comes to an end. Later that night, Teishi is back at his apartment, ready for the real mission. Confirming the plan with Puron, find the miracle flower deep inside that SS-rank dungeon. He packs some basic supplies, optimistically planning for a one-night trip. With his bag zipped shut, there is no turning back now. Puron hops onto his shoulder, both of them sharing a look of grim determination. Soon he is biking through a dark forest with his slime partner serving as a very angry-looking headlight. Arriving at the one place he swore he'd never return to. This dungeon entrance is just as he remembers, a gaping maw of pure darkness. He takes a deep breath, steeling himself for what is inside. And as they step in, Puron immediately throws up a protective golden aura. Right on cue, a massive lizardman monster is there to welcome them with a roar. So Teishi immediately goes Super Saiyan, ready to punch it into next week. This resulting blast of light is absolutely blinding, a one-hit KO special delivery, and he just floats there for a second over the defeated monster. But another one's already on him, a goblin dropping from the ceiling for an ambush, which Teishi spots with a completely unimpressed look. This time, Puron decides to handle it personally, launching itself off his shoulder like a bullet, leaving the goblin to stare in utter confusion as a tiny slime flies straight at its face. Puron slams face first into the goblin, a perfect slime-to-face delivery, and Teishi just glides through the resulting monster confetti completely unfazed. His landing is a perfect 10, not a scuff on those loafers, and his reward for all that is facing an entire army of monsters fantastic. He figures more enemies means they are on the right track, which is some questionable logic, so he just squares up, ready to throw down with the whole horde. Getting serious, he decides it is time to unleash a big one, calling out a move named Nuclear Fusion, a bit dramatic for a Tuesday. This kid channels his inner anime protagonist, striking a powerful pose, then forms a massive energy blade with his bare hands. With one big swing, he just carves right through the monster ranks. After that light show, he takes a quick breather, looking pretty drained. This entire army is just wiped out, littering the cave floor. Teishi finally collapses, admitting they forgot to pack snacks for their suicide mission. Puron, ever the problem solver, suggests foraging in the death cave. Suddenly, the little slime hops down, sensing something nearby, staring intently into a dark, ominous cave entrance. Teishi gets a sudden chill, recognizing this terrifying presence from before, and there it is, King Buffalo, the dungeon boss he has definitely met before. That cave entrance looks extra spooky now that they know what is waiting inside. Teishi stands his ground, calling out King Buffalo for round 2, and from the darkness a clawed hand appears, promising they will not escape today. Out pops the big bad boss, playing a little game of peekaboo from behind a rock. Teishi is immediately confused, this form is totally different from what he remembers. This boss steps into the light, greeting his rat bastard guests with open arms. Holding a serious grudge as the only prey that ever got away. With a sudden roar, the monster charges at an insane speed, catching Teishi completely off guard, and our boy gets absolutely bulldozed by the sheer force of the attack. A massive tail whips around for a follow-up strike way faster than before, so Puron instantly morphs into a shield since Teishi can only play defense. This boss just roars in frustration, clearly not a fan of the slime's interference. It lunges again and Teishi realizes the monster was targeting Puron the whole time, grabbing the little guy right off his shoulder to try and pull them apart. Its whole plan is to separate the duo, figuring the human is a pushover without his slime. With Puron occupied, the boss lands a clean shot right on Teishi, sending him flying, and he goes sailing backwards through the cave, completely airborne. But his eyes snap open with pure determination, not even close to being done. Puron, ever the MVP, turns into a supreme cushion to break his fall because of course it can. Teishi lands safely on a wall, defiantly yelling that they will never be separated. King Buffalo just scoffs, promising they will both end up as his dinner anyway. King Buffalo promises to eat their souls, which is just lovely dinner conversation. And Teishi just mocks his diet from the sidelines, holding a little ball of light. With an angry Puron on his back, he powers up, ready for round 2. Unleashing a blast of light that hits the boss right in the face. And just like that, King Buffalo is down for the count, looking very defeated. Teishi immediately powers down, complaining he is gonna collapse without a snack. But a dark presence dismisses them as just a human in a slime, revealing a much scarier, shadowy version of the boss vowing to kill them all. This thing is absolutely massive, a full-on skeletal demon upgrade, leaving Teishi to stare as the ground trembles beneath him. This monster lets out a roar that probably shakes the entire dungeon, and our boy points out the obvious, it is way bigger than before. Towering over him, the boss prepares to strike with a furious bellow, its giant clawed hand coming crashing down to turn him into a pancake, but Teishi stands his ground inside a protective golden shield, nimbly dodging out of the way just as the hand smashes the ground. This boss gets super annoyed, calling him a rat for not standing still to be killed. Teishi and Puron just stare back, completely silent, probably rethinking this whole quest. He flashes back to the last time they were here, running for their lives as kids, but this time Teishi powers up and declares he is not running anymore. King Buffalo makes a final, desperate vow to swallow them whole, so Teishi claps his hands together, promising a special finisher, and just floats there, gathering a ridiculous amount of energy. With an angry Puron as backup, he unleashes Judgment Lightning, leaving the boss to look up, totally unprepared for this level of overkill. A giant pillar of light just slams down from the heavens, zapping the monster until its whole body cracks with energy, leaving it completely fried and embedded in the cave floor. Our boy gives a cool stare, assuming the job is done. But of course it is not dead, roaring that they will not escape. In response, Teishi just runs up and delivers a flying kick to its spine, landing on its back like a victory podium, an absolute power move. Bouncing into the air, he calls out the bullhead for one last attack, offering a casual see ya as he prepares to use a sealing technique. This results in a massive explosion of dark and golden energy, and Teishi touches down, the fight finally over for real this time. Then he immediately collapses, completely out of juice. His first thought not being victory, but that he is super hungry, which explains why he is now praying over a giant campfire roast, and that meat looks suspiciously familiar, does not it? Teishi and Puron pray over their boss on a spit, looking absolutely thrilled. But after the feast, Puron seems a little down in the dumps, until it spots some very interesting-looking mushrooms nearby, and Teishi turns around to find his slime happily chowing down on them. He immediately scolds it, pulling up a system window to check the fungi, which of course identifies it as a dungeon poison mushroom, because why would not it be? In a total panic, he tries to stop Puron from eating the toxic snack, but the little guy just gives him a smug look, having already swallowed it whole. Our boy freaks out, screaming for an antidote as Puron splits in two, though a quick stat check reveals the poison dealt a whopping 1 point of damage. That single point of damage naturally recovered instantly. Teishi just sighs in relief, realizing he worried for absolutely nothing. With that little drama over, they get back to the important business of dinner, and after devouring the entire thing, they plan to rest before finding the flower. Our hero immediately passes out on his mat, full and exhausted. Puron settles onto his chest, watching over him while he sleeps, its eyes fixed on the cave's deep darkness, standing guard while its partner is completely out of commission. Suddenly, its expression shifts to a serious, determined glare, so it hops off into the shadows, becoming a tiny, glowing scout. Teishi wakes up with a start, calling out for his slime, and now he is wide awake, realizing his little buddy is gone. He gets to his feet, shouting into the darkness for Puron, but for a moment he just stands there, completely still, as a painful memory hits him, the day he abandoned Puron here as a kid. It dawns on him that this cave is a place of trauma for his friend, and he is hit with a wave of guilt for bringing him back. Shaking it off, he tells himself to focus on finding Puron now. He stands before a dark passage, trying to concentrate and sense him, closing his eyes to focus his energy, and a split second later he whips his head around, having found a trail. This feeling leads him down a rocky path, but he is confused when it stops at a dead-end wall. Touching the rock, he wonders if Puron somehow phased right through it, so naturally he tries to run through it himself, and immediately eats dirt because he is not a ghost. Lying on the ground, he realizes it is not a wall but a hidden entrance, wondering who would build such a thing and what they are hiding. Suddenly, his head snaps up, sensing something else nearby, and he gets to his feet, ready for whatever's coming next. He follows the trail and finds a whole-ass temple hidden in the cave, which is weird, but he can definitely sense Puron's presence inside. He starts shouting for his little buddy, getting seriously worried, taking a cautious step into the mysterious structure, and a familiar yellow blob plays peekaboo from behind a pillar. Teishi immediately spots him, a wave of relief hitting him, scooping up the slime while giving him a lecture about wandering off. Puron's response is a completely unapologetic, smug little wink. Because you know it just found the legendary glowing flower they needed. Teishi's jaw just drops, realizing his slime did the whole quest for him, and a system check confirms it is the flower that heals all ailments, no big deal. Our boy is absolutely ecstatic, cheering that his little MVP found the cure, knowing that with this they can finally save his friend's mother. But the lecture is not over, he is still reminding Puron how dangerous it is, making the slime promise not to go alone, saying they are a team. Puron gets a very serious look on its face as if taking it all in, but then we see it alone again, staring at the flower on a pedestal. This little guy looks like it is on a solo mission, full of determination, when a mysterious horned woman appears, greeting the little one, and she immediately starts mocking its choice to live with humans. She introduces herself as the dungeon goddess, asking if they are really trying to rob her. And Puron just puffs out its chest, ready for a fight. This just makes her laugh, mocking the slime for helping out pathetic humans, and as she walks away, she says she cannot just hand over such a precious flower. This little guy apparently threatens to take it by force, which she finds hilarious, so she leans in, basically daring the little blob to try something. Puron is absolutely not backing down, giving its best war cry, but her expression is just pure, unbothered condescension. This little slime gives it right back, though, a battle of glares. Suddenly, she breaks out laughing, claiming it was all just a joke. With a wave, she tells them to just take the flower, saying she has no reason to stop them, then urges them to hurry before she changes her mind, which totally confuses Puron, so the little guy cautiously approaches its prize, doing a happy little wiggle dance as the goddess just watches on. Then her tone shifts, warning them not to get too attached since they will probably split up soon. Puron's response is to basically stick its tongue out at her total defiance. She just smiles, calling the slime naive for still trusting humans, and hits it with a low blow, asking if it forgot being abandoned here before. She warns that humans will just use and betray it all over again. But Puron just snatches the flower and glares back, completely ignoring her lecture. This goddess seems genuinely thrown by the word friend, but then she just waves it off, telling Puron to hurry up and go. So the little guy happily bounces away with its prize, and she watches from the temple as Teishi scoops him up. Her expression is unreadable, a mix of pity and something else entirely, while Teishi is just thrilled with his little MVP who is smug as ever. For a moment, the goddess just looks down, lost in some old memory. Thinking back to when Puron was alone and abandoned here, a sad little blob crying out for the master who never came back. A faint, cryptic smile plays on her lips, calling their reunion both destiny and a curse. And as Teishi leaves, she tells him to enjoy that curse to the fullest. Cut to the present, they have made it back to the hospital just as the sun sets. Our boy absolutely booking it down the hallway, desperately pleading with the universe to let him be on time. He is running like his life depends on it because someone else's does, sprinting past rooms with a single goal in mind, until he finally spots a Kazuki down the hall, but she is just standing there, completely breaking down in tears, and Teishi's heart just drops, fearing the absolute worst. This weight of failure just crushes him, thinking he was too late, and he is just frozen in disbelief, Puron looking equally worried. A Kazuki is completely inconsolable down the hall. Her grief so overwhelming she can barely stand. But then a flicker of resolve hits Teishi. It cannot be over. This whole scene triggers a painful memory of another hospital failure. This day he stood helpless outside a similar door. Snapping back to reality, he hears a Kazuki call his name, so he steels himself and finally asks how her mother is. And plot twist, she is not dead, just in critical condition. But just as she says that, a monitor flatlines, signaling the end. And she whips around in a panic, screaming for her mom as she bolts toward the room. Teishi just stands there for a second, knowing what he has to do. Inside, her mother is unconscious, hooked up to machines, and a Kazuki rushes to the bedside, surrounded by frantic doctors. Our boy follows right behind her, taking in the chaotic scene, where the medical staff looks grim, clearly losing the fight. Her doctor just sweats, knowing there is nothing more he can do. As her father holds her while she completely breaks down, all hope lost. But Teishi just stands there, completely frozen by the scene. As the memory of finding his own parents dead hits him hard, snapping out of it, he drops his bag on the floor, holding up the glowing flower with total conviction. He declares this is the cure from the SS-rank dungeon. This doctor just shakes his head, saying there is no time left, while a Kazuki desperately pleads for them to use it quickly. A nurse immediately tries to shut him down for causing a scene, but our boy is not backing down, telling her to believe him. This earns him a "what the hell are you doing" from the adults in the room, and a Kazuki looks at him with tears, saying you promised, calling back to his deal with her dad to prove himself. We even get a random flashback to some other girl who believed in him, moral support, I guess. Teishi and Puron just stare them down, not giving an inch. And for a second, a Kazuki looks defeated, her head bowed. But then she steps forward, telling the nurse to wait. She puts her full trust in him, begging them to listen, even bowing to the doctor and her dad to use the flower on her mom. Her voice breaks as she begs them to save her mother, and the doctor shuts it down, cannot use an unverified flower, sorry about the dying. But her dad steps up, telling the doctor to do it and he will take full responsibility. Leaving the doctor just completely speechless at the sudden command, all while the monitor is still screaming that she is flatlining, and after a quick time jump, it seems they actually went for it. This dad immediately corners the medical staff, demanding to know how his wife is, and the doctor explains her vitals are stable, but they need to see if it'll last. He is absolutely ecstatic, asking if she is recovering for real, while inside, a Kazuki watches over her now stable mother. Her dad is now bowing deeply to Teishi, thanking him profusely. Getting so emotional, he practically grabs our boy's hand in gratitude. This guy even admits how much pressure was on Teishi, who could have been crushed by guilt. But instead, the kid brought them hope, earning some serious respect. Teishi, ever humble, gives all the credit to his smug little slime, Puron, and the dad is already thinking about repayment and also father-in-law. Suddenly, a shout from a Kazuki sends them both sprinting back to the room, where they find her mom is not just stable, she is sitting up and awake. Teishi and her dad just peek in, completely floored by the miracle. As a Kazuki cries tears of joy, finally seeing her mom smile again. This whole family just breaks down in a wave of relief around the hospital bed, and our boy just watches on with Puron, mission finally accomplished. This nurse is basically in shock, telling the doctor a literal miracle just happened. So the doctor snaps into professional mode, ordering a full workup on the patient, while Teishi just watches on, quietly absorbing the impossible reality. This triggers a flashback to him as a kid, beaten and broken, wishing for his own miracle. A wish that has finally come true just for someone else's family. Seeing them all together, he decides it is time to make a quiet exit, telling Puron it is time for them to finally head home. So they leave the hospital behind, riding down a peaceful, sun-drenched path, and our boy is feeling a strange mix of happiness and something else he cannot name. His thoughts drift to his own parents, wondering if he could have saved them if he'd met Puron sooner, which sends him into a full-on spiral, yelling at himself for his past weakness. But his self-pity party gets cut short by his phone buzzing in his pocket, and he pulls it out to see who is calling him now. He is stopped at a bus stop, answering a call from a Kazuki, who is absolutely over the moon, confirming her mom's making a miraculous recovery, Teishi just smiles, telling her he is glad and never had a doubt, and then she asks where he is. Her mom wants to thank him personally. He just tells her he is already on his way home, trying to keep his distance, which clearly disappoints her as she admits she wanted to talk more. So he smoothly suggests they meet up after her mom is officially discharged. Ikazuki is all smiles on the phone, eagerly agreeing to his plan, while Teishi offers his genuine thanks, Puron looking on judgmentally. He says her name with a certain weight to it, thanking her for having his back when no one else would. With the call over, she is left with a sense of hope, and back in the room, her mom asks where their miracle worker went. Ikazuki explains his plan to meet later, clearly wishing he'd stayed. But she is confident they will see him again soon, and with that, a new day dawns, literally. Our boy is now biking home looking happier than we have ever seen him, as Puron tells him to ditch the angst and just enjoy the win for once. Teishi agrees, deciding a victory meal is definitely in order. But then he screeches to a halt. A sudden, horrifying realization hits him. He completely forgot about his massive to-do list, which is just peak protagonist problems. First on that list, groveling to his landlady about the late rent. He even brought a peace offering of sweets, bowing like his life depends on it. And the landlady seems super sweet about it, telling him not to worry. She happily accepts his apology sweets, before her face darkens, telling him to give her a heads up next time or else. Teishi is absolutely terrified, promising to be better, the fear of God now in him. Back at his apartment, Teishi is feeling pretty pleased with himself, and his next stop is quitting his part-time job at Cafe Smile, where his coworker is getting emotional about him leaving for a new gig. Her partner, however, is absolutely thrilled, cheering that Teishi is becoming a ranker. They make him promise not to forget them when he is rich and famous. And after some heartfelt goodbyes, he is officially unemployed. Teishi walks off with a confident smirk, Puron just vibing on his shoulder. His former boss is not worried, but his coworker still seems concerned about his future. This guy says he will be fine with his reliable family. Cut to Teishi asking his slime if it wants to go shopping. Then we suddenly jump to another hospital room because of course we do. A blonde girl named Karin is visiting a friend, telling a story about Teishi getting fired up in class. She defends him, saying he is weird but honest, which seems to be a new topic for them. Karin gets all flustered, admitting that just thinking about him makes her feel good. This launches a whole flashback to when they first met in high school. Her narration explains he was the class's resident gloomy kid due to his parents' accident. But she could relate since her own mom was hospitalized at the time. Amid a classroom of cheerful students, they were two little islands of misery, so she decided to be the one to reach out and talk to him first. Apparently, he ended up doing something really important for her, and we see a shot of them together, a clear bond starting to form. Karin tells her mom she can trust Teishi completely, getting a solid endorsement. But her mom is just happy that the boy makes her precious daughter smile. Karin admits that Teishi is still a total mystery to her though, flashing back to him looking shocked by a fishmonger. He has got layers. Another memory shows him looking lost at a butcher shop, making her worry sometimes. But then he is also super reliable even when buying a mountain of bread. Back in the present, she realizes just thinking about him is enough to make her smile. And her mom drops some wisdom, people who make you laugh are the best. Karin is absolutely floored, finding it unbelievable her dad could ever be funny. But mom clarifies he was a grumpy jerk to everyone else, which made his kindness special. This clicks for Karin, who realizes Teishi is exactly the same way, which was the exact moment her mom started falling for her dad. And now Karin is having a major realization of her own, complete with shoujo flowers. As her mom's love story hits a little too close to home, leaving Karin completely flustered and blushing up a storm, she immediately tries to shut it down, insisting they are just friends. And her mom just gives her that all-knowing sure honey smile, a look that says I see right through you, kid. Karin is now in full-blown panic mode, denying it with every fiber of her being. Just as her dad bursts in with celebratory sushi announcing good test results. Karin's dad is completely flustered, feeling like he embarrassed himself in front of her. But she has never seen her parents so lovey-dovey, telling them to just eat already. She makes a tactical retreat for water, the oldest trick in the book to escape awkwardness. At the water cooler, she is still trying to process the sudden rom-com moment from her parents. It is a whole new side to her dad she has never, ever seen before. And of course he shows up right then, getting a face full of water for his trouble. She is absolutely mortified, but he just plays it off like it is no big deal. Then he hands her a phone, saying mom wants her to have a way to contact someone. Karin just stares at the phone, the implication hitting her like a ton of bricks. Her dad's on his own call, reminiscing about how he felt the same way at her age, basically thinking his wife and daughter are ganging up on him with this matchmaking scheme. But Karin is already lost in her own world, a small smile playing on her lips. Wasting no time, she calls Teishi to share her mom's good news and asks to meet up. And with that, a new day dawns. But it is Akazuki we see waiting, ready for the meeting Teishi promised her. Our boy finally arrives, calling out to her and asking if she has been waiting long. She plays it cool, saying she just got there, while he is busy thinking she looks cute. Her first question is about Puron, who is apparently napping in Teishi's bag. He suggests they find a place to sit down and talk for a bit, and the peaceful park is the perfect backdrop for their long-awaited conversation. They are just chilling on a park bench, making some classic first date small talk, and Teishi is just soaking in the moment, looking totally content. So she points out his good mood, which he credits entirely to her and her mom's recovery, leaving Akazuki absolutely beaming, clearly touched by his words. While our boy reflects on how good it feels to finally be useful with his powers, and he is just genuinely, uncomplicatedly happy for once in his life. but then his bag starts to wiggle, and out pops Puron, a literal ray of sunshine interrupting their moment. This little slime bounces around them, sharing in the good vibes, when some random dude with a camera just decides to capture the scene. Snapping a Polaroid of the whole thing, then he hands it over, calling them close friends. Puron is not amused by this stranger. Taishi just takes the picture, probably too polite to say no, and they both lean in to check it out with a very judgy slime looking on. Turns out it is a super cute photo of the two of them on the bench, and Taishi immediately points out how great she looks in it, real smooth kid. This gets Kazuki all fired up, jumping to her feet and declaring it is playtime. Our boy and his slime are totally on board with this plan, so they all take off running through the park just having a blast, and the scene shifts, leaving their perfect day behind for now. And so begins the most adorable date montage ever, starting with bunny ears, followed by a movie where Puron serves as the world's judgiest third wheel. Then they grab some noodles because nothing says romance like slurping soup. And Puron even tries to become one with the ice cream, a truly noble sacrifice. After their perfect day, night finally falls on the city. Taishi walks her home, the mood getting just a little bit serious, and it has got all the makings of a perfect romantic moment, sparks flying everywhere. So of course Taishi brings up that she had something important to discuss. Meanwhile, Puron is completely passed out, missing all the drama. Kazuki starts to open up, saying it is all because he has helped her so much. Admitting she worries about him constantly, this is it, the big confession. But right at the climax, their moment gets interrupted by a freaking helicopter. Dust kicks up everywhere as they both look up, totally confused. And yeah, that is 4 guys in suits rappelling down from the sky, standard procedure, I am sure. Their feet hit the pavement with perfect synchronization because goons have standards. Suddenly, our heroes are surrounded by a bunch of very serious-looking men. And the bald leader greets Kazuki by her last name, then turns to Taishi. Taishi is just stunned, wondering why this guy Takahara showed up in a chopper. Turns out word of his SS rank dungeon clear got back to the association like immediately. And with zero chill, Takahara appoints Taishi as an S rank ranker on the spot. This helicopter just hangs there, having dropped off its cargo of very serious men. And the on-the-spot promotion to S-ranker is officially delivered, no pressure. Taishi is completely floored by the news, with Puron looking absolutely ticked off. But Takahara's crew is already judging him, thinking he does not look the part at all. One of the goons whispers a rumor that he captured and ate a red dragon, a balanced diet clearly. So Takahara decides they will just have to confirm his skills directly, demanding that Taishi come with them right now to take the S-ranker test. He explains that S-rankers are basically national treasures, so they cannot just hand out the title, adding that if Taishi is the real deal, the test should be a piece of cake. This whole squad just stares him down, waiting for an answer. Akazuki is obviously worried, calling out his name in concern, and she immediately asks if this test is going to be dangerous. Taishi, however, looks completely unfazed, a new resolve in his eyes. Turning to Akazuki, he gets ready to make his case. And he asks her to believe in him just like she did before. For him and Puron, this test is their one shot to prove they belong. With a confident smile, he declares that they are going to pass it, promising to pick up their very important conversation right after he gets back. She looks on, her trust in him totally unwavering. And with that, Taishi faces the suits and accepts their challenge. Takahara announces their grand exit plan, they are taking the chopper. And Akazuki just watches as her date gets whisked away by government goons. From the helicopter, Taishi gives her a casual "I will be back soon," like he is just running to the store. She looks up with total faith, telling him to do his best. Their destination is a massive canyon, the site of his simple S-rank test. Inside, Takahara lays out the first rule of the test: survive. That is it, just survive. He's got 24 hours to follow a map and reach the finish line. But 3 other agents will be evaluating him, and any major injuries mean instant failure. As Takahara announces they're approaching the start point, Taishi gets to his feet, though the helicopter is still hovering hundreds of feet in the air. This suits immediately panic, yelling at him to sit down because it is dangerous. But Taishi just smirks, asking if this is where the strongest monsters are. Then he just yeets himself out the door, declaring it is the shortest way down. This entire crew is in absolute shock. The kid actually jumped. In midair, a pair of brilliant golden wings burst from his back. Down in the canyon, shadowy monsters stir, sensing his arrival. He clasps his hands, preparing a spell called Meigetsu, and a blinding flash of holy light erupts from him, illuminating the entire sky. This massive wave of energy just scours the canyon from top to bottom, catching the helicopter in the shockwave and making the pilot scream for his life. This shockwave rocks the helicopter, with the suits inside absolutely losing their minds. An agent checks her monitor, all A-class monster signals are gone, just poof. So yeah, our boy just one-shotted dozens of A-class beasts without a scratch. His entire escort crew just stares out the door, trying to process what they just witnessed. And Takahara realizes if the S-rank rumor is true, this kid is not S-rank, he is something else entirely. But wait, the tablet starts beeping. A few monsters are still kicking down there. Taishi and Puron just look down, completely unbothered by the leftovers, and right on cue, a giant serpent monster shoots up from the darkness, rocketing straight for them like a heat-seeking missile of pure rage. Taishi just gives it a look like it is a mildly annoying fly. This time, Puron takes the lead, wrapping the beast in a golden spiral of doom. Unleashing a move called Supreme Spiral, which is as subtle as it sounds. This monster just gets atomized into a fine red mist, problem solved. Up in the chopper, the agents are just staring, completely broken by the spectacle. Taishi casually pops back in, asking if he still needs to do the whole survival part. Test cleared on the spot. With the test officially over, they fly off, one mission away from his promotion. His next task is laid out: hunt the king crab in the undersea dungeon. Teishi thinks that sounds pretty simple, but Takahara is quick to shut that down. This dungeon itself is a rank, but apparently only S rankers can handle this particular crab. Our boy just asks why, with Puron looking smug enough for the both of them. Takahara explains the catch: this dungeon is at the deepest part of the sea, and back in the chopper the other agents are looking seriously stressed. One of them even asks Teishi if he is really okay, reminding him this is S rank. She adds that just getting to the entrance is a huge challenge in itself, but Teishi is completely unbothered, saying it is fine because he has Puron, who is practically vibrating with "let us do this" energy. This pilot announces they are at the drop point and tells them to get ready, and our boy is absolutely ready to go. With the helicopter hovering over the dark water, he gives the signal. Then he just kicks the door open because why not? And yeets himself out of the chopper. Asterisk again asterisk. This is becoming a habit. Mid-plummet, he calmly calls on his trusty slime for backup, so Puron whips out a special Puron bubble to keep him safe underwater. They smash into the ocean with a massive splash, and descend through the depths towards some ancient, sunken ruins. Teishi is genuinely surprised to see a dungeon just chilling on the seafloor, but Puron is all business, ready to take on whatever's inside. This slime starts doing something, and Teishi has no idea what is happening. This little guy is charging up, looking seriously intense, and unleashes another massive flash of holy light into the darkness. Teishi is totally blinded by Puron's personal sun, and it turns out the slime's skill is literally nuclear fusion, just a casual Tuesday. Our boy is super impressed, ready to explore the now well-lit abyss, so they float through the sunken city in their personal slime submarine. Puron then deflates, leaving the corridor feeling super creepy and empty. Teishi finds the whole underwater ruin thing a little strange. He spots what looks like the main entrance further in, deciding they might as well check it out because what could go wrong? Their bubble breaks the surface of an underground pool, and they pop out into a massive, air-filled cavern. He is just amazed to find this whole pocket of air and ancient ruins down here. But it is a little asterisk too asterisk quiet, basically begging for a jump scare. Of course, the place is crawling with monsters hiding in the shadows above. Teishi finally lands and asks Puron what is up, totally oblivious. And right on cue, a bunch of nightmare fuel fish monsters lunge at them. Puron, however, is not impressed in the slightest. This sudden ambush catches Teishi completely off guard. His slime buddy gets into its battle stance, ready to throw down, unleashing another golden spiral of absolute destruction, which sends the monster chunks raining down into the water. Problem solved. Teishi gives his slime a quick thanks for the assist, and Puron is just soaking up the praise as it should. He is feeling pretty good about their chances now, so they head deeper into the creepy stone hallway. Suddenly, some bat thing tries to make a meal out of Puron, while a couple of crab monsters get bisected by a flash of gold. And Puron just faceplants another one, no problem. Teishi just jogs past the carnage like it is a normal commute, spotting what he thinks is the boss room up ahead. He asks his slime buddy if it is ready for the main event, and they come to stop right before the entrance. Of course, something is already waiting for them in the water, and it is a massive tusked crab monster, the king crab, I presume. This thing raises a claw that is bigger than Teishi's entire body, then strikes this incredibly bizarre fighting pose. Teishi is completely baffled by this crab's whole vibe. This crab then just dips a single claw into the water, leaving our boy wondering if it is trying to invite them for a swim. He really does not want to, but it looks like they have no choice, so they stand at the edge ready to take the plunge. This crab's first move is a giant splash, forcing Teishi to leap back. Then an Orank marlin monster shoots out of the water, and it has got a friend, a giant Orank octopus. Puron gives him the rundown: 2 Orank threats, be careful, but his slime just floats between them, glowing ominously. And in a flash, both monsters are instantly cooked. Problem solved. They are just floating there, perfectly grilled for our boy, and Teishi's first thought is not danger, it is dinner. He is literally drooling. While he is fantasizing about seafood, the king crab snatches him from behind. That massive claw just lifts him right off the ground, and he finally gets the memo that this thing is actually dangerous. This king crab glares down, looking like it is about to snap him in half. He struggles in its grip, calling out to his slime buddy, only to immediately tell Puron not to worry, he is totally fine. This crab responds by just yeeting him across the cavern. Puron watches in absolute horror, completely stunned, as the crab catches him with its other claw, pinning his leg. Okay, that is the last straw. Puron's fear of death skill activates. A terrifying dark aura starts pouring out of the little guy, and suddenly the king crab does not look so tough anymore. Teishi realizes his slime buddy just burned through a ton of power. Right before the crab's claw slams him into the stone wall. Now free, he yells that it is their chance to finish this thing, and Puron is absolutely ready for the counterattack. This slime activates Mithril Transformation, a skill for delivering internal shock, so Teishi hops into a conveniently placed boat to make some space, while the king crab dives right into the water after him. Underwater, Puron stretches itself out like a living torpedo, then rockets straight toward the monster's vulnerable underside, and the impact sends a massive shockwave through the cavern. This crab bursts from the water, clearly feeling that hit, leaving Teishi standing on its massive claw, looking very confused. This enormous beast just starts sinking below the surface, so our boy follows it down into the water to check the damage. He cautiously asks Puron if they actually managed to beat it, and his slime buddy gives a confident little nod from beside the claw. Teishi's first thought is not about the danger, but how tasty this giant crab looks. Puron just soaks in the praise, looking proud of its work. But then the little guy starts wobbling uncontrollably, and completely melts into a puddle, totally out of juice. Teishi's just chilling on the giant crab, now a makeshift raft for a very smug Purun. He runs a hand over the massive shell and is stunned to find not a single scratch, a feat most S-ranks could not pull off. Our boy gives Purun all the credit, calling it the absolute best, then decides it is time to haul their prize home. So Purun, with the crab on its back, hops out of the water ready for pickup. Meanwhile, the extraction chopper is still hovering overhead, and inside, the agents are basically having a collective anxiety attack. One of them is even ready to call for backup, convinced Teishi is in trouble, but Takahara tells them to have a little faith in the kid. Below them, the dark ocean remains completely still, until ripples suddenly break the surface, which has the agents scrambling to the door to see what is happening. It is Teishi, casually standing on the giant crab shell like he is surfing, and the entire squad just loses their minds, completely speechless. This blonde agent cannot even process how he managed to catch the king crab, while the woman realizes they are looking at a true S-rank in action. Teishi just yells up, asking them to drop a rope so he can tie up his catch. An order is quickly barked to get that rope down stat. And the line is lowered to our boy, who is just waiting for his Uber ride home. Takahara gives him the official thumbs up. He is a real S-ranker now, and Teishi is absolutely losing his mind with joy. Beaming, he immediately turns to Purun to share the good news. His slime buddy is just as hyped, bouncing on the water with him. But then Purun starts to wobble again, looking totally spent. Oops. Teishi just reassures the little guy it is okay, promising lots of food later. At the mere mention of food, Purun is instantly back to 100%. With that settled, our boy declares a celebration party as they get airlifted out. Takahara just smiles, finding the new S-ranks vibe pretty heartwarming, and so they fly off into the sunset, giant crab in tow, the most ridiculous Uber Eats delivery ever. Their chopper approaches the association building where a welcome party is waiting. On the rooftop, Teishi is officially appointed as an S-ranker. Our boy strikes a heroic pose, the newest S-rank of the Takakawa branch. A whole welcome committee is there to greet him, apologizing for the hasty setup. This entire squad of suits just breaks into applause for him. Teishi looks a little stunned by the reception, with Purun just vibing. Everyone's all smiles, genuinely congratulating the new guy, and he is clearly moved, not used to this kind of attention at all. His whole life, he has been looked down on and dismissed. But this is the first time he has ever been celebrated like this. Teishi takes a moment, soaking in his new reality, then vows to take his S-rank responsibilities seriously, while the welcome committee continues to sing his praises, and Takahara explains the new perks, bigger missions, bigger rewards. They are keeping his minor status under wraps for now, but word will get out. He also gives him the classic "with great power" speech, but Teishi just goes quiet, the imposter syndrome kicking in hard. He starts to admit something, looking totally unsure of himself, confessing that he feels like a fraud since Purun did all the heavy lifting. Takahara just listens, taking it all in, then asks a simple question: why does he think Purun chose him? Teishi's best answer is basically, I dunno, it just did. But Takahara shuts that down, just contracting a monster like Purun is proof of his own power. That logic seems to finally land for our boy. And Purun is just soaking up the compliments, looking smug as hell. Takahara tells him to own it and believe in himself already, then asks if he is free for a little celebratory outing. So they head out into the city for a surprise trip. Arriving at some fancy traditional restaurant called Tatsumi, Teishi is completely floored that this is the S-rank lunch spot, and Takahara just laughs. A chef in full traditional gear greets them at the door. And this head chef Tatsumi just starts crying waterfalls, calling them his benefactors. He immediately glomps Teishi in a huge awkward hug, much to our boy's confusion, while Takahara just plays it cool, thanking the guy for the invite. And the lunch they are served is a full-on royal banquet. Teishi's mind is completely blown by the sheer fanciness of it all, and the chef just encourages them to dig in, saying he owes them big time. Then Takahara explains that this chef, Tatsumi, was the one who posted the king crab request, which makes Teishi finally connect the dots. This guy was the client. Tatsumi just tells him to eat up, but Purun looks ready to throw hands because the little guy is going absolutely feral over the feast, and after a furious eating session, Purun is in a full-on food coma, looking blissfully stuffed. Teishi gives his thanks for the incredible meal, then asks the obvious question: was the king crab just for the restaurant? Tatsumi says that is part of it, but there is a more important reason. He did not need it for the restaurant, but for one specific person. Our boy is totally drawn in by the mystery of it all. Turns out it was for an old friend who is about to go abroad again, and thanks to Teishi, he can finally prepare this special farewell dish. Teishi is genuinely touched, thinking that is a really cool reason to fight, which prompts the chef to ask if our boy has someone important in his life, then gives him some sage advice: do not hold back your feelings. Tatsumi says that is the kind of thing you regret when you are old. In that instant, something just clicks in Teishi's head, as a vision of a certain blonde-haired girl appears before him. He can only whisper her name, looking completely dazed. Suddenly, he is on his feet, announcing he just remembered a promise he has to keep. And Takahara just gives him the nod to go, so he thanks them and bolts. These two older men are left alone at the table, just sipping their drinks. Tatsumi is still amazed that a kid managed to complete his S-rank level request so fast, saying the new guy is the talk of the entire association. Takahara explains there is no precedent for an underage S-ranker, then makes a request, and the chef just asks him to please look after Teishi. His boss gives a silent, serious nod of agreement. Meanwhile, Teishi is sprinting through the city, Purun just chilling on his head. He is absolutely booking it down the street, then pulls out his phone to make a call, a determined look on his face. But he immediately realizes Akazuki should still be in class. Now he is stuck, thinking a dropout probably should not just show up at school. Just as he is stuck, his phone starts buzzing, an unknown number. Answering it, he finds the freaking principal of his old high school on the line. This guy sounds dead serious, saying he is cutting out the middleman to talk directly. This topic is, of course, his potential return to school, and the principal wants an answer now. He's basically begging at this point, promising to meet any and all of Teishi's conditions. So Teishi just decides to head over and talk face to face, problem solved. And just like that, he is back at the gates of Geku High. Strolling through the halls, his first thought is to find a Kazuki before anything else. Speaking of the devil, there she is down the corridor. Our boy gives a happy little wave, ready for a big reunion moment. Except she is not alone, she is walking with some other dude. That smile just completely dies on his face, hand frozen midair. Turns out the guy is Nishiyama, the soccer captain, and everyone's noticing them. And she looks way too happy, practically hanging off the guy's arm while laughing. This sight just crushes him, leaving him totally speechless. He just stands there feeling completely small and out of place, until a voice calls his name from behind him. Teishi turns around, not expecting anyone to even acknowledge him, and it is his old bully squad looking less than thrilled to see him. This main jerk Kaido is just glaring daggers, clearly spoiling for a fight. Kaido and his goons corner him, reminding him he is a dropout. Teishi just calmly says he is here to see the principal, no big deal. This bully's face twists, clearly not buying it for a second. But something's off, this is not the same kid they used to push around. Kaido notices his eyes are completely different, full of confidence, and Teishi just stares him down, totally unfazed by the intimidation attempt, which has the bully completely shook, sweating bullets. Suddenly the tough guy act drops and he is asking for a favor, begging Teishi to restore the skill that got sealed. Wait, what? Apparently he feels like useless trash without his powers. Oh, the irony. His desperation is escalating, practically screaming for his powers back, while his cronies admit they are just sea rankers and cannot fight him now. Then Kaido hits his knees, full-on groveling, pathetic and beautiful. Teishi looks down at this pathetic display and delivers a simple, beautiful no. He calls the guy out for ruining lives without a second thought, flashing back to Kaido calling him F-rank trash. Our boy asks if he really thought he'd be forgiven just for this. He knows this clown is still bullying the weak, the act is not fooling anyone, and seeing them again has given Teishi a whole new reason to return to school, because now he's got the power to right some wrongs and class is in session. Kaido is just stunned, completely processing the absolute shutdown. While our boy lays down the law, they better behave themselves now, promising to repay their cruelty tens of thousands of times over. His old tormentors are absolutely losing their minds with fear, and Kaido immediately starts promising he will not bully anyone again, sure Jan, but Teishi calls him out by his first name, Shota, saying he knows exactly who he is. A simple promise will not be enough to change him, so today's lesson will stick, which sends one of the goons sprinting away, screaming for his life. This guy immediately starts snitching, blaming Shota for everything he did. And his other buddy joins the chorus. Loyalty is not their strong suit. Teishi then reminds them that their victims did absolutely nothing wrong, so he decides to give them a little taste of a skill called Death Fear. Purun unleashes some kind of freaky yellow tendril, snagging the runner, wrapping right around his neck and stopping him cold. His buddies get the same treatment, caught by these weird energy whips, and our boy's expression is absolutely merciless, plunging them into a vision of some giant, terrifying red eye. This mental assault leaves Kaido a drooling, terrified mess. After they all collapse, Teishi reveals that was just a tiny taste of the fear, telling them it is nothing compared to the fear they inflicted on others. Inside the death fear illusion, Kaido is screaming into a bloody void. He yells at his buddies for ignoring him, still trying to play the tough guy. His rage builds as they refuse to even turn around, until they do, revealing horrifying, dead-looking faces that make them scream. Kaido scrambles backward, absolutely terrified by what he is seeing. He's completely losing it, unable to comprehend the horror. And then dark, bloody tendrils start erupting from the ground around him. This tendrils lunge for him as he lets out a final, pathetic shriek, all of it stemming from the vision of a single, monstrous eye. Back in reality, Kaido is just a gasping, traumatized wreck. This illusion ends, leaving the three bullies twitching on the rooftop floor. Kaido is on his hands and knees, looking absolutely shattered. Just then, Nishiyama stumbles onto the scene, asking what happened, but Kaido is just realizing the astronomical power gap between him and Teishi. This cold sweat says it all. He has finally grasped how outmatched he is. One of his goons puts it together, saying Teishi got strong after the slime appeared. This other remembers it was right after he conquered that SS-rank dungeon. So Kaido, already plotting, tells his friend to use his family at the association to dig up info. His buddy, having found some common sense, suggests maybe they should just stop. Kaido is not hearing it though, demanding they find out everything they can. This principal is overjoyed, giving Teishi the whole "my door is always open" speech. But Teishi just reminds him to keep his end of the bargain, whatever that is. With the meeting wrapped up, our boy heads out of the office. And after a quick check-in with Purun, he decides it is time to go home. Just down the hall though, Akazuki and Nishiyama spot him walking away. He turns around, surprised to see her calling his name, and she runs right up, asking what he is doing here, so he explains the principal meeting. Nishiyama immediately steps in, saying he has heard all about Teishi from Karin, first name basis. This guy introduces himself with peak high school jock energy, acting like he is a local celebrity. Teishi's internal monologue is basically, "I hate this guy already," and Purun's face agrees. Akazuki, completely oblivious, is just thrilled they get to go to school together again. Meanwhile, Nishiyama just watches them with a dead serious look on his face. and she has got this super happy, almost smug grin going. She is loving this. Then Nishiyama just yells Teishi's name, challenging him to a match out of nowhere. Our boy is just baffled, thinking this dude is a total weirdo. Next thing you know, they are all in an empty classroom, where Nishiyama lays down the terms of his challenge, an arm wrestling match. If he wins, he gets to seriously pursue Akazuki because that is how consent works now. She is completely flustered, demanding to know where this is suddenly coming from. And he admits the rumors say Teishi is a monster, but thinks he might have a shot in a simple strength contest. Teishi agrees to the match, saying he will give it everything he has got. Internally, he is thinking this guy is a total weirdo, but at least he is serious. Our boy just tells him he does not need his permission to like Akazuki. Nishiyama then reveals she talks about Teishi all the time, which makes her freak out. This guy's whole honor code is that he has to beat Teishi before he can confess. Okay, Sir Lancelot. Teishi's expression is set, ready to get this over with. Their hands lock over the desk and the challenge is on. With Akazuki watching, he promises to take this seriously too. And we cut to the massive Akazuki group headquarters downtown. Inside, a board meeting is going terribly. They are running out of high-grade mana pools. This man at the head of the table is Chairman Kazuma Akazuki, her dad. An employee reports that the supply from upper-tier dungeons is just drying up. This chairman demands they find a new, stable supply immediately. To make matters worse, their top-ranked players are canceling contracts to join rivals. His executives are sweating bullets, promising to do whatever it takes. Kazuma looks defeated, admitting this whole crisis is his failure. His subordinates just stand there, probably updating their resumes. Then he just snaps, yelling to throw more money at it because that always works. He quietly reflects that his own corporate recklessness has come back to bite them, and a vision reveals the one thing that can save them, a miracle flower from an SS-ranked dungeon. Chairman Akazuki announces a new corporate strategy: stop buying people and start earning trust, a novel concept for a CEO. His employees walk off, noting the president's vibe is brighter, which is one way to describe a near-total collapse. Now he is all alone in the giant, empty boardroom, looking like the loneliest man in the world. This chairman's expression is grim, clearly reflecting on how badly he is screwed up. His mind drifts to a vision of Teishi and Purun, the kid who has somehow become central to everything. And a small smile appears as he thinks Teishi is a pretty interesting guy, understatement of the year. Just then his phone buzzes, snapping him out of his little existential crisis. He answers cheerfully, telling someone named Yan he is on his way to the hospital now that his meeting is over. Turns out it is his wife who is waiting for him and agrees to meet up for udon. She then asks if he has handled that matter she brought up with their daughter Karin. This chairman admits Teishi is super busy, so the dinner invitation will have to wait a bit. But his wife is eager to welcome our boy with a proper home-cooked meal. The whole family is invested now. Meanwhile, back in the classroom, the arm wrestling showdown is about to begin. Teishi tells Purun to go hang with Akazuki, wanting to win this with his own raw strength. So Purun just plops onto Akazuki's head as the two guys lock hands, ready to go. Nishiyama asks Teishi what he wants if he wins, trying to make this official or something. Our boy just stares him down, completely serious, and says that even if he wins, nothing changes, his mind is already made up. He's only taking this seriously because Nishiyama was serious about the challenge. This air crackles with tension as they stare each other down, with Akazuki stuck right in the middle of this matchwoff. Akazuki is absolutely losing her mind, begging them to stop this embarrassing matcha showdown. Teishi immediately tells Nishiyama to stop, his expression completely serious. And Nishiyama instantly agrees, telling Teishi to stop too, a mutual de-escalation. Their hands finally part, ending the shortest, most anticlimactic duel in history. Nishiyama declares the match postponed, all because Karin asked so nicely. He then clarifies he is not scared, just being considerate since Teishi was not ready, a likely story. This guy puffs out his chest about fair play, and Teishi's brain just short-circuits from the weirdness. With that settled, the three of them head out of the school building, which leads to the three of them just walking together down the path. Akazuki is internally screaming, wondering how she ended up in this painfully awkward situation. Breaking the silence, Nishiyama confirms that Teishi has officially re-enrolled. Our boy says yep, adding that now he can see Akazuki anytime he wants, making her blush. Nishiyama immediately counters that he's been spending a ton of time with Karin lately, trying to mark his territory. Teishi just smirks back, saying he will arm wrestle him anytime. The confidence is just radiating off this kid. Akazuki just seems delighted by how much more cheerful Teishi has become. She is practically beaming, while Nishiyama in the background looks like he is rethinking all his life choices. For a second, it is just Teishi and Akazuki walking together in their own little bubble. But Nishiyama is still there, watching them from behind like a third wheel on a unicycle. He finally decides to peel off, saying he is heading in a different direction. His parting shot is a promise to fight cool again, leaving Akazuki to wonder if they even fought at all. Nishiyama gives a final wave, congratulating Teishi on his return to school. Teishi's internal monologue is just what a weirdo, and Purun's face says it all. Now alone, Akazuki says she has something to talk to him about, but our boy just casually drops that his mom wants to invite her to dinner. He asks if she is free Saturday, and she immediately agrees, totally beaming. After a quick warning about Purun's legendary appetite, she realizes that was the important talk. Teishi then decides fine, he will just say what he actually wants to say. And he turns to her, saying he has something to tell her for real this time. She is completely stunned, not expecting this at all. When suddenly a mysterious blonde woman appears, announcing she has finally found him. She then proceeds to tackle hug him from behind, yelling about how much she missed him. Our boy is completely flustered, having absolutely no idea who this person is. This whole situation gets very up close and personal very fast, and Teishi's brain just blue screens from the sudden, overwhelming contact. Akazuki, watching this disaster unfold, immediately assumes the worst, that he is a two-timer. With impeccable timing, she announces her ride is here and she is leaving. He is desperately trying to yell that it is a misunderstanding, but she is already walking away. His mystery assailant, meanwhile, just comments that he is taller than she imagined. She then calls him Little One, asking if he is happy to see her again. But Puron on the ground is giving her a death glare that could melt steel. She introduces herself as Norn, the goddess of the dungeon, which explains absolutely nothing to Teishi. And we flash back 6 years ago to a dark, ominous cave, where someone spotted a very strange, very angry-looking slime. It has got this distinct red X marking on its head like a tiny, squishy loaf of bread. This observer is Norn herself, but with horns, so she is a demon goddess, I guess. This little slime is sweating bullets, clearly on its last legs in some kind of mana pool. Norn just descends from the heavens like an angel, looking down on this pathetic little blob. She flat out tells the slime it is about to die if it keeps going like this. This slime is just suffering, not really in a position to argue. Turns out it is afflicted with something called the Reaper's Curse. Sounds pleasant. Norn then recognizes it, realizing this is the same little kid from even before this. We see her on her throne looking down at the now pale, weakened slime, and the little guy just cries out its name. Wait, this is Puron. Norn calls him hopeless, but her expression is more fond than annoyed. Her hands start glowing with some serious divine power, which she directs right at the cursed little Puron. She gives this gentle, knowing smile like this is all part of the plan. With a promise to save him, she unleashes her magic. Her hand reaches out, about to make contact with the tiny slime, and a wave of purifying light erupts as she touches him, starting the healing process. She compliments Puron on getting strong and cute as he is bathed in holy light. This divine energy swirls into a vortex, looking like a top-tier special move. And with that, he gets the official blessing of the goddess of the dungeon buff. Back in the present, Teishi is still demanding to know who this woman is. His brain finally processes her title, and he just freaks out, the goddess. Down on the ground, Puron is still radiating pure, unadulterated rage. Norn finally notices the tiny, fuming jelly blob giving her the evil eye. She lets go of Teishi, apologizing and acknowledging Puron is his important friend. Our boy is just a blushing mess, his brain completely stuck on the hug. He is trying to regain his composure, but the blush is a total betrayal. Now he is just wondering what her relationship with Puron even is. Norn seems to read his mind, asking if he is the one who named him Puron. Teishi is completely floored. Did this goddess just pull a mind-reading trick on him? She just smiles down at the little guy, telling him he has a nice name. And just like that, Puron's anger vanishes, replaced by pure joy so fickle. Norn takes a step forward, ready to get down to business. Teishi is just sweating bullets, bracing for whatever comes next. She announces it is time to discuss something important, looking way too pleased with herself. He asks what they need to talk about while his brain short-circuits from her being too pretty, but she just cuts him off with a sly smile, saying before that. She then calls out for someone named Pell, telling them to stop hiding. And sure enough, a purple-haired girl is peeking from behind a tree, top-tier stealth. This girl looks incredibly shy, like she's about to apologize for existing. She finally steps out, timidly saying it has been a while. Teishi's brain just short-circuits, another one showed up. Puron, however, is bouncing around happily, clearly recognizing the newcomer. Our boy puts two and two together, wondering if this is Puron's friend. This little slime is practically sparkling, confirming it with pure joy. Norn explains they are best friends, though it is a long story, the classic hand wave. Hearing this, Teishi is just genuinely happy for his little buddy. With the reunion settled, Norn claps her hands to get down to business. Her expression turns deadly serious as she demands their full attention. Teishi and Puron are just completely lost, wondering what just happened. Norn immediately passes the buck, telling Pell to do the explaining. We flash to a vision where they both have horns, and Pell panics that Norn was supposed to talk. Pell is in tears, desperately begging someone to come with her. Back in the present, Norn is clearly annoyed, reminding Pell she came all this way to help. Pell is sweating bullets, stammering that if things keep going like this, she just screams that both Teishi and Puron are going to die, and our hero's reaction is a collective deadpan what, perfectly summing up this entire mess. Norn just waves off their shock, saying it is a lot to process. She then pats Pell, giving her an A+ for that terrifying delivery. With a sly smile, she invites them to her temple for the full story. Teishi's brain, meanwhile, is stuck on how she has gotten bigger priorities. Kid Norn then leads the way, casually calling for a transformation. Pell gets super flustered by the sudden order, but Norn just laughs it off. Our boy is just completely lost. Transformation. Timidly, Pell asks them to please give her some space. A surge of purple energy suddenly engulfs her as she concentrates, and a pair of massive black horns sprout from her head, followed by huge feathered wings bursting from her back. This sheer force of it kicks up a shockwave, blasting Teishi away, leaving him completely stunned by the sudden power flex. Even Puron is just wide-eyed, watching the whole thing unfold. In Pell's place now stands a massive purple dragon with Norn looking on casually. This goddess just gestures to the dragon, telling them to hop on, your ride is here. A short, terrifying flight later, they arrive at a dark cave entrance. Teishi is looking absolutely wrecked, complaining about dragon speed motion sickness. They are soaring through the sky at impossible speeds on Pell's back, and our boy is just screaming for his life while Puron enjoys the view. Teishi is mentally scarred, deciding Puron can handle protection from now on. Norn steps forward with purpose, leading them deeper into the cave. With a smug grin, she announces they have finally arrived. And by arrived, she means a massive hidden temple carved into a mountain. Taishi's brain just clicks, he has seen this place before. It is the same dungeon where Puron found that miracle flower for his mom. He realizes that flower was a gift from Norn all along. And he gives this soft, grateful smile, finally getting it. He tries to thank the goddess, but she just says to thank his little slime buddy instead. Pell, looking super shy, interrupts to usher them inside the main building. They stand before some truly epic, ancient-looking doors. She warns them that whatever they see next is top secret, then places a hand on the door which starts glowing with power. Using her magic, she begins to push the colossal gates open. A blinding light pours out as the entrance is revealed. Norn leads them in with a smug welcome to my crib look on her face. Taishi is just sweating, completely out of his depth here. These two demon ladies guide him down a grand, red-carpeted hall, which is lit by some very dramatic, magically fueled braziers. Our boy just gawks at the ridiculously fancy architecture, clearly not in Kansas anymore. Taishi is just completely awestruck by the temple's interior. Before them is a massive golden mural depicting some ancient, epic war. Our boy glances over at Norn, his brain still buffering from the sheer spectacle. Norn explains the art tells the story of another world and the dungeon's origin. This another world reveal completely short-circuits Taishi's brain. Norn and Pell just smile, totally unsurprised by his very human reaction. Then Norn immediately passes the buck to a very nervous Pell for the history lesson. Pell starts her tale about a phantom door that existed in another world. This door connected two worlds, a forbidden gate that promised only ruin. Beyond the door, people believed was a perfect utopia, and reaching it was supposed to free you from all hardship and pain. So naturally, everyone started killing each other to find this door. But surprise, it was all a lie, the utopia was just a myth. This whole thing was orchestrated by a manipulative fallen angel. A pretty boy villain who charmed everyone into buying his lies. His real plan was to destroy the world on the other side of that gate. So the actual asterisk angels stepped in to shut down his whole operation, building a dungeon right between the two worlds to sever the connection, and they filled it with high-ranking angels and powerful monsters to act as guards. But a war between the worlds caused the dungeon to collapse, sending everything back to square one. Pell nervously continues, explaining the dungeon is a fortress between worlds. Our boy's brain is just completely fried from the lore dump, so is Puron's. Norn just smirks, hitting him with a casual "you will figure it out eventually." Her expression then turns dead serious as she gets to the main point. Taishi's mind flashes back to Pell's warning, right, the whole "you are gonna die" thing. With a grim look, Norn says there is something he absolutely has to know. Turns out a fallen angel has been secretly messing with his life for ages. This kid is just floored, he and Puron have been targets this whole time. She explains the angel's goal was to inflict pain by manipulating everyone around him. We see a flashback to photos of his parents, the first targets. Then a flash of that psycho bully from school, a puppet in a much bigger game. And we cannot forget the creepy bald guy who was clearly bad news. Even his mom's illness was part of this angel's twisted plan, this blackmailer threatening his sister. Yep, that was orchestrated too. His sister's kidnapping was just another move on the board. All of this was designed to break him by targeting the people he loves. Taishi just looks down, the sheer scale of the manipulation finally hitting him. His hand clenches into a fist, pure rage building as Norn watches on. She notes that his survival through all this was something the angel never expected. And because he is a wrench in the plan, he is now a target that has to be eliminated. Norn's eyes narrow as she gets to the final, critical piece of the puzzle. She addresses Puron directly, calling him Little One. Taishi is just completely lost, wondering what this is about now. Pell then stammers, also talking about the little guy. She reveals Puron is now the strongest monster in the dungeon and Taishi has a contract with him. Our boy starts sweating, asking what the heck that implies. Pell spells it out since he is bonded to the strongest being. It means Taishi is the first human to ever conquer the dungeon, and the reaction from our heroes is a collective brain-dead huh, which immediately turns into a full-blown wah of pure disbelief. This shock just echoes through the temple, total system failure. Norn just crosses her arms, stating that conquering this place was supposed to be impossible. With that kind of power, she warns the fallen angel will definitely not ignore them, but she believes they have the strength to fight back. Taishi is still trying to process the whole conquered the dungeon thing. Norn just gives a blunt yes to confirm his unspoken question. Then she drops the next bombshell, they are going to the other world. We suddenly flash back a few hours to a blonde girl sitting in a car. She is lost in thought, questioning her own reaction to something earlier, and wondering about some beautiful woman's connection to Taishi. Her driver notices she is out of it, asking if Lady Karin is feeling okay. She just brushes it off with a "no, I am fine" as they drive into the sunset. But she is already thinking about apologizing, all while a massive dragon's shadow passes over her car. And we are back to the present where Norn casually announces their trip to the other world. Taishi's brain finally connects the dots. Wait, does that mean he has to fight the fallen angel? Norn's response is a cosmic shrug, basically saying if destiny says so, which is not helping. Our boy just stands there, completely speechless and overwhelmed by the news. He is just sweating, the sheer weight of this destiny thing finally hitting him. This kid looks down, looking absolutely defeated for a moment. Norn actually shows a sliver of sympathy, admitting he is just a high school student, and Puron gives him a little pat on the cheek for moral support. Taishi looks over at his little slime buddy, a thought sparking in his mind. He remembers his promise he has to protect Puron no matter what. With that one thought, his entire demeanor shifts to pure determination. He looks Norn dead in the eye and says he will go to the other world. Pell looks on a little concerned by his sudden 180, but Norn just smiles, confident that his resolve is all he needs. Pell quickly chimes in, trying to sell him on the good things about the other world. Taishi is immediately skeptical. Good things sounds like a trap. She then drops the ultimate motivation, get stronger, and he will finally understand what Puron is saying. Taishi's brain just short-circuits, completely floored by the news. Pell explains the level gap between them is just too massive right now. And then she drops the real bombshell. Puron is a monster from the other world. Puron is just ecstatic, thinking about finally being able to talk to his best friend. Our boy is completely flustered, realizing this is the ultimate motivation. Norn, seeing her work is done, tells Pell to get the ritual started immediately. These two demon ladies now stand before him, ready for the next step. A very shy Pell asks him to hold her hand for the transfer. Taishi, equally awkward, just stammers out a yes. He takes her hand, kicking off whatever this process is. As they connect, a warm, magical energy starts to glow around them. Norn is in the background, chanting a blessing to guide him on his destiny. This kid is suddenly enveloped in this divine light, looking pretty overwhelmed. His eyes reflect a cosmic power. Something has definitely changed. We flash forward to a quiet evening at his apartment. He's just washing dishes, a brief moment of peace after all the insanity. A voiceover confirms that a whole lot happened after that day in the temple. Back in the present, a system window pops up right in front of him. It confirms Norn has transferred the gate skill to him, making him the opener of the otherworld gate. With a smug grin, Norn tells him he is now free to travel between worlds. Taishi mulls over this new power, realizing it is all up to his will now. But then he checks his stats and immediately gets depressed. He is still level 5. His gaze falls on Puron, who is just chilling on the kotatsu. He scoops up his little slime buddy, a new thought taking hold, and Puron gives him this look of pure, unadulterated let us go. With that, Taishi's resolve hardens. He is getting stronger no matter what. Suddenly, a random appliance beeps, completely killing the dramatic mood. He pulls up his status window again, confirming his new title as the gate opener. Curiosity gets the better of him, and he taps the new skill to see what it does. This description pops up. Yep, he can literally summon a portal between worlds. Our boy is just sitting there, trying to convince himself this is not all some crazy dream. Puron, meanwhile, is absolutely hyped for their interdimensional road trip. Taishi just smiles, deciding it is best to get a good night's sleep before all of that. And we get a super wholesome montage of them brushing their teeth together, followed by a relaxing bath because even world hoppers need some self-care. He then tucks his little slime buddy into bed with him. This two of them just look so peaceful, snuggled up together. Puron is practically vibrating with pure, concentrated happiness. They drift off to sleep in a literal sparkle fest of cosmic dreams, only to wake up standing in a dark, ominous-looking place. Welcome to the other world. Taishi wakes up in a dark stone corridor, completely disoriented. Puron is on the floor nearby, looking just as lost and scared. A strange, glowing light at the end of the hall draws them forward, and as Taishi gets closer, he looks like he is being hit with a painful memory. Puron seems to be feeling it too, his expression turning fierce. It is a mural depicting a giant ram-like monster and a tiny slime. This little slime in the carving looks absolutely miserable and alone, while the massive ram beast is shown charging forward with pure malice. In the next scene, the ram just headbutts the poor little guy. Taishi yells out in shock, watching this unfold, as the mural's slime gets sucked into some kind of swirling vortex. This triggers a happy memory of the day they first met, a stark contrast. Back in the present, the real Puron is on the ground, crying and reaching out. His little whimpers are just absolutely heartbreaking. At the same time, the image of Puron on the wall starts to crack and crumble. Taishi reaches out in a panic, trying to somehow stop it, but the carving shatters completely as he begs it not to go. His eyes well up, the horror of the vision hitting him hard, and he just breaks down, tears streaming down his face. Then suddenly, sunlight pours in through a window. It was all a nightmare. Taishi is still caught in the nightmare, begging Puron not to go. Then we get a hard cut to a massive skyscraper downtown, where we find Karin cheerfully heading out for the day. Her mom casually asks if she has pinned down Taishi's schedule. Apparently, Dad's getting impatient. Karin admits she has not yet, but promises to ask him today. She quickly gets her shoes on, all set for school, and with a final "I am off," she is out the door. Meanwhile, at Taishi's much humbler apartment building, our boy finally wakes up, looking completely drained from the dream. He immediately checks on Puron, asking if he was awake, and gently pets his slime buddy, admitting he had a really sad dream, but just having Puron there makes him smile, instantly feeling better. At that moment, his phone starts buzzing on the table, so he groggily reaches over, wondering who it could be this early. It is a message from a Kazuki-san asking if she can stop by after school. His brain short-circuits on the words "stop by," and he completely freaks out, realizing she means his house. Later that day, as the sun sets, Taishi walks home through a park with groceries, already feeling nostalgic, wondering if these peaceful days will soon be over, and his thoughts drift to a memory of Karin crying with pure, unadulterated joy, which is a weird contrast to the memory of him and an angry Puron at the temple, facing down Norn and Pell as they drop the whole otherworld bombshell. Back in the present, Taishi and Puron are peeking around a corner, when a car pulls up and a voice calls out his last name. He turns, and of course it is a Kazuki-san, aka Karin. Turns out she was heading to his place anyway, and he suggests hot pot for the three of them. Karin is absolutely delighted by the idea, completely beaming, which leads to this super awkward, sparkly moment between them. Taishi decides to finally say what is on his mind, trying to be serious for once. And the romantic tension just spikes. but he immediately chickens out, telling her to go first, real smooth. Karin just volleys it right back, insisting he should be the one to talk, kicking off a legendary battle of no, you first. So they just stand there, locked in a politeness standoff with their groceries. They finally call a truce and sit on a park bench to talk this out, and Karin takes the lead, looking down as she starts to speak. She apologizes for cutting him off and leaving so suddenly the other day. Taishi is a flustered mess, waving his hands and saying it was no big deal. But she insists, admitting she got angry like a child without understanding anything. She says she's just so glad they can finally talk like this. And Taishi is just a blushing mess, completely caught off guard. He can barely manage a me too, looking down at the ground. Then he remembers his mission. He has something important to tell her. And Karin immediately snaps to attention, ready for the big reveal. We get a quick flash to some ridiculously fancy fountain at her place, which just highlights the awkward silence after he drops the whole interdimensional bombshell. So he has laid it all out, the other world, Puron, the whole crazy deal, and Karin just quietly takes it all in, finally understanding everything. He asks if it is too insane to believe, but she just says, no, I believe you. In fact, she looks almost smug, saying there is no way she would not, which leaves Taishi completely stunned by her instant acceptance, because she confesses she has been watching him this whole time. This just completely short-circuits his brain. He was not ready for that. My dude is just stuck on buffering, trying to process this new information, while Puron is having the time of his life, bouncing around in celebration. With everything out in the open, the whole vibe between them changes. Karin suddenly stands up, looking fired up and ready to go, letting out a huge sigh of relief like a massive weight's been lifted, and Taishi is just left sitting there, completely lost what just happened. Karin turns back with a look that means business and asks if he will take her to the other world with him. Taishi's brain just completely short-circuits at the request, stammering that he cannot just take her there, but Karin doubles down, insisting she truly wants to go. He tries to warn her it is not that simple, while Puron gives some serious side-eye. Undeterred, she takes a firm step forward, getting right in his face to say she is dead serious about this. Our boy tries to explain they are up against a fallen angel. It is not a field trip, trying to find the words to explain the sheer danger. When she just grabs his hand, saying the danger is exactly why she has to go. She reminds him he was there for her, so now it is her turn to support him. Which just leaves Taishi a blushing, speechless mess. Karin states she knows the risks and is not asking lightly, even admitting she understands his hesitation completely. But she is convinced there are ways only she can help. Taishi is just stunned by how incredibly earnest she is. Then she gets all shy, asking him not to laugh at her big secret, confessing she has been a massive dungeon and monster nerd her whole life. Flashing back to her mom scolding her for turning her room into a research den, so that is what she meant by watching him. She admits the thrill of it all was just too exhilarating to stop, and Taishi is just trying to process this sudden, intense confession. Turns out her dad used to read her dungeon stories as a kid, so she has always felt like this was something she was meant to do. Vowing to dedicate herself to him, she swears she will never be a burden. Our boy is just left speechless by her sudden, formal pledge. He tries to be the voice of reason, pointing out she has parents to answer to. Karin just smiles, agreeing she will speak with them properly. For a moment, it seems like the conversation is over. Then she invites him for hot pot at her place, effective immediately. Taishi's brain completely short-circuits. He is going to the Akazuki residence now. She just beams, confirming the plan with zero hesitation. And yup, her home is a casual downtown skyscraper, which leads to this incredibly normal family dinner with her parents. This table is set, the kettle is on, everything's fine, until they drop the another world bomb on mom and dad. Her father's face immediately hardens, the mood shifting instantly. Taishi is absolutely terrified, sweating under the man's intense gaze. Dad gets right in his face, demanding to know why he kept this secret. Then he just calms down, concluding the dungeon must have been impossible to beat. Dad admits the information is huge, but it would cause mass panic if it got out, and Taishi just sits there, sweating bullets under the intense scrutiny. Then the guy just bursts out laughing, completely understanding the secrecy. Apparently he is a huge dungeon nerd himself. After a quick Chibai mode apology, he gets down to the real issue, Karin's involvement. He asks his daughter directly if she is absolutely sure about this, and Karin pops in with a look of pure, unshakable confidence, confirming she is. Mom just smiles knowingly while Dad sighs, completely defeated by his daughter's resolve. He finally relents, agreeing not to stand in her way if her mind is made up. But there is one condition: they have to rely on her family for help when things get tough. With that promise, he will officially approve her joining the Interdimensional Adventure Squad. Karin is just completely moved by her father's support, so Taishi stammers out an agreement, promising to accept their guidance. This sends Dad into full-on hype mode, pledging to devote everything to the cause. He even grabs Taishi, declaring the Akazuki group will fund the whole operation. Mom chimes in, saying she has been waiting to repay him for saving her life. And suddenly our boy is the center of this incredibly intense family support circle. Just then a phone starts ringing, a call from a Mr. Tatsumi. Taishi picks up, completely confused by the sudden call. On the other end, an old man holds up a massive fish, explaining a guest just canceled. So he is inviting Taishi over for dinner, promising Puron will love it. Taishi tries to politely decline the dinner invite, saying they just ate, but Puron is practically vibrating with desire for that fish. A sly little smile creeps across his face. He has got a plan. So he asks Mr. Tatsumi if it is cool to bring a few extra people along. When asked if they are friends, he just says no, glancing back at Karin and her incredibly supportive parents, who are all just laughing and having the best time together. Before he corrects himself with a huge smile, they are family. Cut to the other world where Karin is struggling through a desert. Her fancy boots are clearly not made for this kind of terrain. And she immediately faceplants right into the sand, real graceful. Teishi rushes over, offering a hand to help her up. She takes it, admitting the ground is a bit of a challenge, then insists he drop the formalities and just call her Karin. Our boy gets all flustered, saying it is still a bit weird for him, but he powers through it, formally addressing her by her first name. Karin is absolutely glowing, ready for their grand adventure together. Teishi just smiles and adds a little, and yet, revealing she was expecting a fantasy wonderland, not a boring old desert. A quick flashback shows Norn and Pell opening the portal for her a few hours earlier. Norn notes how peculiar their connection is, like fate's been cooking this up for ages. But if that is the decree of the universe, then she's got to embrace it. So she turns her attention to the one person who can help Karin, bestowing a blessing on her to stay by Teishi's side when he needs it most. Back in the desert, a swarm of nasty-looking creatures fills the sky. And Karin is already struggling, wondering where this path is even going. Teishi leads the way, trying to get them out of a sandstorm, then asks Puron to use its slime cannon to get a bird's eye view. This little guy is absolutely fired up for this mission. It bounces once on the ground, getting into position, then starts vibrating with pure concentrated launch power, and with a mighty blast, Puron is officially airborne. Teishi immediately realizes that was probably way too much altitude, watching the bright sun in the sky. As Puron becomes a tiny dot on a collision course with the heavens, our boy gets ready for the catch, yelling for it to steady its descent. But the re-entry velocity is looking a little concerning. We get a glorious close-up of the incoming slime ball, which lands squarely on his face with a magnificent splat. Karin, meanwhile, is absolutely losing it in the background. After that faceplant landing, Puron points the way from Teishi's head, who asks if the little guy actually found something useful up there, giving it a big all hug for its commendable effort, so wholesome. With renewed purpose, Teishi declares they will follow their slime navigator, and the whole squad is fired up, ready to roll. Their grand destination turns out to be a single, very dead tree, which is where Karin finally taps out, asking for a break. Teishi agrees, admitting this endless desert is draining them both. But Puron suddenly tenses up, sensing something is very wrong. He immediately asks what has got it so spooked, and the answer is a pack of flaming hell hyenas. Teishi sizes them up, confirming they are not friendly neighborhood dogs, as the monsters immediately charge, ready for a fight. Our boy does not hesitate, calling for Puron's slime bullets attack. So the little guy gets into position, ready to spit some justice. Unleashing a high-velocity slime projectile right from his shoulder, it scores a direct hit on the lead monster, then pierces right through to nail the others behind it, a perfect shish kebab. And just like that, the entire pack is down for the count. He turns to check on Karin, while Puron looks incredibly smug about its handiwork. Karin admits she seriously underestimated the slime's firepower, and Puron is just basking in the glory, looking smug as hell. Her mood shifts though, wondering why those monsters ambushed them out of nowhere. When a rough sound echoes from nearby, Teishi immediately tenses up, sensing another presence in the desert. His eyes narrow as he realizes there is a survivor out there. But just as he is about to act, Karin yells at him to stop, pointing to a small, collapsed figure in the sand. Without a second thought, they both sprint towards the person, discovering a young girl with some nasty-looking claw marks on her leg. Karin immediately cradles her, saying the wounds are grievous, and Teishi agrees, noting she is barely breathing and they need to move fast. This poor kid is completely out of it, just barely hanging on. She is clearly in a bad way, unconscious and struggling for breath. They debate their next move, agreeing her injuries are too deep to wait around. Just then, the girl's eyes start to flutter open. Teishi tries to calm her down, telling her not to move. She barely manages to whisper a single syllable, which leaves our boy completely confused, asking what she said, until she finally gets it out, begging for water. Karin tells Teishi to get that water like now asterisk, so he just casually reaches into his personal pocket dimension and pulls out a pristine bottle of water because of course he can. He hands it over to the injured cat girl, who whispers her thanks, and Karin helps her drink, telling her to take it easy, which the kid immediately ignores, chugging it like her life depends on it. Teishi just watches, noting the whole human face cat ears combo is a bit odd, and after a moment the girl's eyes snap open with newfound energy. They ask if she is alright now that she is hydrated, but her eyes widen in shock as she realizes they are humankind. Suddenly her fingers sharpen into some seriously nasty claws, and she lunges straight for Teishi's throat with zero hesitation. Karin screams his name, completely caught off guard by the betrayal, but Teishi just stands there cool as a cucumber, saying her attack missed. This kid is now on all fours, looking absolutely feral, and our boy notes her entire aura has changed. Yeah, the claws were a hint. She snarls, demanding to know what humans are doing in this wasteland, which just leaves Teishi confused, wondering what she means by humans. He immediately puts himself between her and Karin, sensing the danger. Kicking off a classic desert standoff, two humans versus one very angry cat girl. Teishi tries to de-escalate, reminding her she is the one who asked for water, while his mind races, banking on Puron's protective aegis to keep them safe. Her feral rage just evaporates, replaced by confusion over the word water. So he just holds out a bottle, telling her they have got plenty to spare. And a desperate gulp shows just how parched she really is. That plastic bottle is basically the holy grail in this desert. With ears perked, her entire focus shifts to that bottle, and the feral killer is gone, replaced by one very thirsty kid. She immediately starts chugging it down with zero hesitation, and a moment later she is kneeling in a graveyard of empty plastic bottles. This verdict is in, the water is officially divine Nyan. Karin and Teishi just look on like proud parents watching their kid. And fully hydrated, she finally apologizes for that whole trying to kill you thing. Teishi brushes it off, saying her wounds are the real priority, but she freaks out at the idea of wasting precious water on her injuries. He insists her recovery is more important, though he knows water is not enough. His eyes land on the ultimate problem solver chilling by his feet, so he asks Puron if it can handle cleansing her wounds. This little slime is absolutely thrilled to be of service. Immediately hopping onto her back to begin the slime-based first aid, Puron goes full-on holy medic mode, glowing with concentrated healing power, using its dissolve ability to literally melt away the bad stuff and seal her wounds. And the cat girl is stunned, exclaiming that the slime's treatment is wondrous Nyan. Teishi gives Puron a proud attaboy, looking super pleased with his little buddy. With the wound clean, Karin says it is time to patch her up properly. And out come the first aid supplies in a flurry of bandages and cotton. This final result is a single adorable band-aid on her leg, crisis averted. Teishi smiles warmly, telling her she should be feeling much better now. She looks down at the cute cat-faced band-aid, completely charmed by it. Her face just lights up, all that feral rage totally gone now, admitting they are not at all like the humans her grandfather warned her about. Karin's interest is immediately piqued by the mention of her grandfather. Kneeling down, she kindly asks the girl for her name. This kid shyly introduces herself as Nekona. Teishi and Karin are instantly smitten, repeating her name like proud parents. Karin calls it a charming name and introduces herself in return. Then Teishi introduces himself and his trusty sidekick Puron. Nekona looks up at him, already calling him elder brother Teishi. But her priorities are straight. She immediately asks if there is any more water left. Teishi just smiles, offering another bottle like the world's best hydration daddy. Nekona gets all flustered, insisting the water is not just for her, explaining it is for her mother and father back home and also for her entire village. The stakes just got way bigger. So Karin puts it together, asking if she got jumped while on a water run. With a sad little nod, Nekona confirms the tragic backstory. Admitting everyone she knows is in dire straits for water, she tearfully declares her grand mission to bring them all salvation. Teishi is just moved by her resolve, this kid carrying a huge burden. He kneels down, asking if she will lead them to her village, and offers a warm smile, saying of course they will help. Karin and Puron are immediately on board, looking totally pumped for a rescue op. With the plan settled, Puron hops back onto Teishi's shoulder, ready to go. While Teishi promises their whole squad will see this through. After resting up, Nekona points the way forward to her home, and the newly formed party begins their trek across the desert. Before long, a fenced settlement appears on the horizon, which gets Nekona all excited, announcing they are almost there. Teishi takes it in, realizing this is the first village he has seen in this world. They get a closer look at the settlement, a collection of tents behind a wooden wall. But the guards look absolutely miserable, sweating and barely standing up, not a great sign. This welcome party consists of one very suspicious-looking cat guard, who recognizes Lady Nekona but is way more interested in her human companions. With spears at the ready, they demand to know what business the humans have there, not exactly a 5-star review. Teishi clocks the lady title, realizing their little stray is kind of a big deal. But Nekona immediately jumps to their defense, telling the guards to back off, fiercely declaring they saved her life and she will not stand for any disrespect, which has the guards immediately sweating and bowing apologies all around. One of them is still shook, wondering why their lady brought humans home. Realizing her insistence is super rare, he decides they have to at least listen. So the guard waves them in, granting them entry into the village. Inside, they are led into what looks like the main tent, where a woman immediately pulls Nekona into a relieved hug. This is her mother, Rin, who tearfully thanks them for saving her daughter. Teishi just plays it cool, saying it was no big deal, classic humble protagonist move. Rin is overwhelmed with gratitude, asking how she can possibly repay them. This tender moment is shattered by a staff slamming down nearby. An old, grumpy-looking cat man enters, introducing himself as Chieftain Jeff. Rin tries to explain the situation, holding her daughter close, but Jeff just grumbles that this is the sacred heart of their tribe, and he has zero intention of letting humans get out. Teishi and Karin are stunned, while Puron just looks ready to throw down, and our boy tries to explain they were just trying to help Nekona, but Jeff is not having it, saying thanks for the save, but humans are still banned. He officially tells them to get lost, effective immediately. At that moment, Nekona's ears twitch. Oh, she heard that. And the kid immediately gets in her grandpa's face, blocking his path, planting herself right in front of Teishi to defend her new friends. She insists that Big Brother Teishi and his crew are the good ones, Nyan, fiercely reminding him they saved her from monsters and she will not let him kick them out. Her mom backs her up, telling the old man Nekona would be dead without them, pleading with him to let them rest, arguing not all humans are the same. This chieftain just grits his teeth, absolutely furious at being contradicted, but he finally caves, saying do what you want, while his face screams I hate this. Then the old man storms off, saying he'd rather sleep outside than share air with them, what a diva. Stomping away, he makes a whole dramatic scene out of it until his staff clatters to the ground, and the chieftain just collapses, completely out cold. Next thing you know, he is tucked into bed looking seriously unwell, as Rin holds up a cup of precious water for him, explaining it is all thanks to Teishi, a luxury they have not had in ages. Teishi takes it all in, realizing this water shortage is way worse than he thought, so he asks Rin just how long this crisis has been going on. Her answer is a gut punch, 3 whole years, and we get a flashback to the good old days when the village was a literal oasis. But one day, everything started to go wrong. A sudden sense of dread hits her by the water's edge, and just like that, their entire world changed for the worse. This caused a gigantic burning worm because of course it is. Taishi's just trying to process this while Puron looks ready for a fight. As Rin explains that ever since the monster appeared, the river's been dying, her hands clench, showing just how desperate they have all become. And the whole crew just sits there absorbing this grim backstory. Taishi's gears are turning, you can just see it. Then he looks up, telling her to leave the water problem to them. What a hero. Rin is completely baffled, having no clue what he is talking about, but our boy just reminds her he made a promise to Nekona to save everyone. He turns to his ultimate problem solver for confirmation, and Puron is absolutely vibrating with "let us do this" energy. With that settled, Taishi gets to his feet, ready for action. Casually announcing he is stepping outside for a bit, leaving everyone hanging, Taishi steps out of the tent, ready to solve this whole mess single-handedly, and outside, the entire village is just wilting in the oppressive heat. Karin follows right behind him, probably wondering what his big plan is, while a concerned Nekona calls out to her new big brother Taishi. He just gives her a reassuring head pat, telling her to leave it all to him. Then our boy turns to his secret weapon, asking Puron for a little favor. Puron immediately launches itself into the air, much to Nekona's total confusion, and the little slime just keeps going up, becoming a tiny yellow dot in the sky. High above, Puron gets its game face on, glowing with some serious power. A massive wave of energy just explodes outwards from the little guy, leaving Nekona absolutely floored by the sudden light show. In seconds, the clear blue sky fills with dark, ominous clouds, and a flash of lightning cracks through the darkness. This is not a drill. Then it starts to rain, thanks to Puron's blessing from the heavens skill. Taishi looks up, totally pleased with himself, declaring that it worked. Back in the tent, Rin is completely baffled by the sudden noise, her ears twitching as she picks up the impossible sound of raindrops. She looks up in utter disbelief, her mind just not processing it. As the entire village stands out in the downpour, absolutely stunned, Nekona runs over to her mom, both of them overjoyed by the miracle. This entire village erupts in celebration, absolutely losing their minds over the rain, which even wakes up Chieftain Jeff from his dramatic sickbed stupor. He turns to the window, seeing a full-on storm raging outside. His eye reflects the downpour, his brain clearly not computing this. Staring at the impossible sky, he is pretty sure he is just dreaming. Meanwhile, a squad of cat warriors is getting absolutely baked in the desert, their captain trying to keep spirits up while everyone is visibly dying. Suddenly, one of his men points frantically towards their village. This captain turns, completely caught off guard by the sudden alarm, and in the distance they see a swirling vortex of dark clouds. Realizing something is very wrong or very right, he orders a full retreat back home. Back in the village, the party is still going strong, with two villagers already collecting the precious rain in a bowl. One of them comments that it tastes a little salty, but they do not care one bit, it is real water and they are ecstatic. At that moment, the old chieftain himself steps outside, leaning on his staff, his face streaked with tears as he calls it a miracle. He holds out a hand, just soaking in a sight he thought he'd never see again. Rin rushes to his side, pulling her father into a desperate hug, and they just hold each other in the middle of the life-saving rain. Rin is completely overwhelmed, just crying out for her father, and the old chieftain can only hold her, totally silent. Across the entire village, the cat folk are going wild with joy, with even the little kids dancing in the downpour for the first time in their lives. Taishi and Nekona just watch the chaos while Puron soaks in all the credit, and our boy is just so relieved, thanking his little slime for the assist. From a distance, Chieftain Jeff finally puts two and two together. The humans did this. You can practically see his brain rebooting as his prejudice crashes, and then the proud, grumpy old man just bows deeply. Taishi is completely floored, staring down at the bowing chieftain, who is thanking him for what he calls a blessing from the heavens. Our boy immediately starts waving his hands, telling him it is no big deal, please get up. But Jeff is not done, looking up with one very important question, demanding to know what exactly that slime of his is. Before Taishi can even answer, Nekona pops up beside her grandpa, proudly introducing the little guy as Puron. Jeff immediately tells her to be quiet, adults are talking, kid. He then turns back to formally thank Lord Puron for his divine intervention. Puron is absolutely eating this up, practically vibrating with smug satisfaction. Taishi, meanwhile, has no idea how his pet slime just got promoted to a deity. This returning cat warrior captain finally makes it back, spotting Nekona, and she happily calls out to her father, completely fine, but he immediately lays into her, furious she disappeared. His eyes burn with the terror of searching for her all day, and Nekona can only apologize, saying she just wanted to find water. Her dad just stares, his anger completely deflating. His hand is literally shaking with relief and leftover fear, before he finally asks her to make him a promise. He kneels down, gently telling her to never scare them like that again, and they seal it with a pinky promise, which is legally binding, obviously. With that settled, he opens his arms for a hug as Nekona's eyes immediately well up with tears. He pulls her into a massive, emotional embrace. This tough warrior dad crying, just so glad she is safe. It is only then that he spots the two humans standing awkwardly in the corner, and his entire face shifts from relief to pure rage. He shoves Nekona behind him, demanding to know what humans are doing here. Karin just sighs, recognizing that classic family brand of xenophobia. Suddenly, Chieftain Jeff's voice cuts in, addressing the warrior as Ren. Ren turns, hand already on his blade, ready to throw down. But the chieftain grabs Ren's arm, telling him to stand down, leaving Taishi to just awkwardly watch this family intervention unfold. Ren is completely baffled, trying to figure out what is going on, and a moment later he is kneeling in front of the humans, talk about a mood swing. He formally apologizes for his little outburst earlier, then bows his head, thanking them for saving his daughter. Meanwhile, Nekona is having the time of her life with Karin, tail wagging and all. Which makes Ren think that maybe, just maybe, he can trust humans again. Teishi gives him a warm smile, telling him he is a good dad, then immediately pivots to the big question: what is the deal with the human hating? Ren's face darkens as he gives a one-word answer: betrayal. Our boy is taken aback, not expecting that level of drama, and Ren's expression says we are about to get a very depressing story. He begins the tale, starting with a glimpse of their past paradise. A time when their home, El Dorado, was a literal oasis. Back then, they had a massive tribe and even lived alongside humans. But one day, the humans brought something with them that torched the entire land. Teishi's brain connects the dots, realizing what is coming next. As Ren's hand clenches, reliving the pure rage of that memory, he spits out the name of the disaster: the burning giant worm. Ren reveals that fighting the worm has left only 53 of his tribe alive. And Teishi is just floored by how few survivors there are. This warrior kneels, saying at this rate their entire village will vanish, which makes Karin's heart ache for their impossible situation. Through all this, Nekona just watches the heavy conversation unfold. So Karin gives the kids some much-needed head pats to lighten the mood, and Nekona is absolutely loving the attention, purring up a storm. Teishi watches them for a moment, a small smile on his face. Then he turns back to the warrior, getting Ren's attention, and kneels down, declaring they have to solve this at the root. He stands up, looking at the entire group with a new resolve, asking to join them in the fight against the burning giant worm. Ren is completely blindsided by the insane offer, but Teishi is dead serious, saying he made a promise to Nekona. With that settled, the newly formed party heads out into the desert. And Ren immediately starts barking orders as they enter the worm's territory. Our little trio looks ready for anything, especially Puron, who's got a battle scar now. For the next week, Ren drills them relentlessly on combat fundamentals, even teaching Karin how to use a spear since she is a non-combat asset. This night before the big showdown, Ren just watches her train, knowing it is almost time. Alright, time for the mission briefing. Ren lays down the law, telling them to listen up. So they all huddle around for a strategy session, basically high-stakes arts and crafts in the sand. He starts with the worm's opening move, a nasty little trick he calls Meteor. Using a quick sand diagram, he shows the worm in the initial target area, which is actually a rain of scorching fragments that absolutely blankets the battlefield. Teishi and Karin are just absorbing this, looking less than thrilled about the whole rain of fire situation. Against that, Ren says there is only one option: reinforce your defenses and endure it. You can see in his eyes he is reliving every second of this nightmare, explaining that many of his comrades did not survive that opening onslaught. Even dozens of his most seasoned warriors were wiped out by that one attack alone, which is exactly why he turns to Karin, telling her she is staying behind, it is just too dangerous. But Karin is having none of that, firmly stating she is going no matter what he says. She practically lights up, admitting she is weak but refusing to use it as an excuse to run away. She even kneels, promising with everything she has that she will not be a burden. Ren just listens, trying to explain that this monster is beyond simple concepts like size or numbers, because that thing out there in the desert is something else entirely. A glimpse of its colossal, terrifying body immediately proves his point. Suddenly, Teishi and Puron look up, completely startled by a massive tremor. And there it is, the burning giant worm bursts from the sand, an absolute titan of destruction. Behind it, a massive glowing magic circle pulses with terrifying power. This worm's maw is a drooling nightmare of pure teeth, and that magic circle behind it is just radiating apocalyptic energy. Ren and his fellow warrior are absolutely frozen with fear, while Teishi can barely process the sheer scale of the threat. Karin realizes the briefing did not even come close to this reality, as the intense heat rolling off the monster is already overwhelming. She calls out to Teishi, her voice shaking with terror, and Ren just snaps that of course they're scared, who would not be. He is not done with his little tough love pep talk though, telling them if you have something to protect, you get moving. Those words hit Teishi like a ton of bricks, reminding him of the promise he made to little Nekona. Even Karin finds her own resolve, a warm memory giving her strength. And a strange mark suddenly appears on Teishi's forehead. Our boy goes full Super Saiyan, vowing to protect them all, his eyes burning with a brand new golden power. He shouts for Ren to stick with him, and the warrior is right on board, leaving Karin to watch the two of them charge into the fray. For a second, she is just standing there, left in the dust. But then she grits her teeth, ready to join the fight. She sprints into the dust storm, spear in hand, refusing to be left behind. And Ren grabs Teishi, telling him to get ready to move. So our boy starts charging up some serious golden lightning, yelling that this is their only chance before the meteor hits. He slams his fist straight into the ground, unleashing all that power, dropping a move called Lightning of Judgment, which is just a little bit extra. Even Ren is shocked by the raw energy coming off the kid, but the attack just steams against the worm's hide, doing nothing. Teishi is completely stunned, his ultimate move just bounced right off. Ren just sweats like he knew it was going to be that useless. This worm, meanwhile, opens its horrifying maw completely unfazed and lets out a roar that shakes the entire battlefield. This other cat warriors are totally paralyzed by the sheer terror of it. Then a magic circle flares up on the monster's side because of course it is a summoner too. Out pop a pack of demonic hyenas fresh from Hell's Kennel Club. And one of the warriors barely manages to block a pounce. His comrades are immediately swarmed by the surprise attack dogs, forcing one to yell for Ren to go on while they hold the line. Ren is torn, knowing he has to leave them behind. Then he whips around, shouting that the meteor is about to hit any second. Teishi immediately takes command, telling Ren to fall back and prep for defense. And right on cue, the worm's apocalyptic magic circle flares to life, glowing with enough ominous energy to delete a city block, with the worm itself at the center powering up its signature attack. This first flaming meteor shoots out of the gate, followed by about 100 of its closest, angriest friends. This warriors scramble to throw up whatever shields they can against the firestorm, as the entire desert erupts into a non-stop barrage of explosions. It is just pure, unadulterated chaos raining from the sky. And the cat warrior's personal barriers are barely holding on. Karin just tries to stay on her feet, bracing against the shockwaves, while Teishi's boots are literally trembling from the sheer force of it all. So he yells for Puron to put up a barrier for the whole squad, and our little slime buddy is more than ready to oblige, scar and all. A massive golden dome of energy suddenly envelops the warriors, catching one of them completely off guard as it blocks a hyena attack. And he is amazed that he cannot even feel the scorching heat anymore. Even Ren is stunned by the absolute unit of a shield this thing can make, earning Puron a very grateful if slightly insulting "Thanks, little runt," but Ren's relief vanishes, realizing this attack is way stronger than usual. He realizes the worm is just getting started and this onslaught is never going to end, as the meteor shower just keeps hammering the battlefield without pause. And Karin is barely holding on, bracing with her spear, telling herself to just endure it until Ren gives the signal to strike. But then the ground beneath her just completely gives way, sending her tumbling straight down into a newly formed sinkhole. She looks up, completely bewildered by her sudden change in elevation, which makes Teishi absolutely lose his mind and scream, frantically looking around for any sign of her in the chaos. He's just screaming her name, pure panic on his face, completely losing his cool as the explosions rage on. This non-stop barrage continues, making it impossible to see anything, and one of the cat warriors is just confused by the sudden screaming. So Ren whips around, demanding to know what is wrong with Teishi. Inside the storm, they cannot see a thing through the dust and fire, while the worm continues its apocalyptic light show in the background. Teishi is just frozen in place, muttering in disbelief, his face a mask of despair as he calls out her name again. Ren immediately clocks this, realizing our boy has lost the will to fight, just as the worm's magic circles flare up for another round of fun. Ren forces himself to focus, knowing this cannot be how it ends, deciding to try a desperate gamble, whatever it might be. He screams at Teishi to aim for the magic circle and cover him, but our boy is just a ghost out there, completely unresponsive. Even Puron's worried nudges cannot seem to reach him at all, and Ren just seethes. This is exactly why he did not want her along. Meanwhile, another meteor is screaming down because the fun never stops, slamming into the ground and nearly taking out another warrior. This guy just braces himself, knowing there is no time to complain, which inspires another warrior to act, deciding he has no choice. He gathers a ball of light, admitting he has no idea if this will even work. But he is giving it a shot anyway, ready to unleash everything he has got. A massive bolt of lightning suddenly crashes down from the sky, which he channels directly into his spear, crackling with raw power. This energy then splits into dozens of golden tendrils, forming an entire volley of glowing energy spears. He leaps into the air, leading the charge himself, sending the whole barrage flying straight toward the worm. This worm, for its part, looks completely unimpressed by the light show, and the attack just detonates harmlessly against its magic circle. This warrior's big move just shatters against the barrier, fizzling out into absolutely nothing, not even leaving a single scratch on the worm's hide, and the monster just looks bored, like it is waiting for a real challenge. This cat warrior is stunned, realizing his best shot was a total dud. So he turns to the only other option, yelling at Puron that they are screwed, begging the little slime to use its power to stop the worm for just a second. Puron is understandably terrified by this sudden promotion to main tank. It is still clinging to a completely checked-out Teishi, whimpering, but the warrior's desperate plea seems to get through to it. This little guy detaches from Teishi, wiping away its tears, and stretches itself out, ready for the most insane play of its life. It launches itself like a golden cannonball straight at the giant worm, its eye gleaming with pure, unadulterated resolve. This worm just watches this tiny yellow snack flying towards it, opening its massive jaw to end this little rebellion right now. But Puron unleashes a massive burst of blue energy mid-flight, detonating right in the monster's face with a huge explosion. This cat warrior just watches the chaos unfold, spear in hand, completely floored that the little runt actually pulled it off. And Puron's attack flash freezes the giant worm solid, dropping a skill called Absolute Zero that stops it cold. All the other warriors are just screaming, totally stunned by the play, and the guy who begged for help just shouts its name in awe. Even Ren gives a well-done yellow runt, which is high praise from him. He immediately seizes the moment, gripping his spear tightly, yelling that he is going to be the one to finish this. He looks back at the squad, telling them he is counting on them for backup. And his second-in-command gives a sharp Roger. In response, this rest of the squad immediately forms up to handle the demon dogs, while Ren focuses all his energy into his own weapon. He leaps into the air, spear glowing, ready to strike, vowing to make the worm pay for all the comrades it has killed. With a final roar, he plummets down for the finishing blow, unleashing a move called Crust Piercer meant to shatter its defenses. His spear slams right into the frozen hide, shattering the ice. But underneath, it reveals a massive light blue gemstone. Ren is completely baffled. What is this thing? His spear tip grinds against the gem's surface, doing absolutely nothing, and he just grits his teeth as his ultimate attack is completely nullified. This ice from Puron's attack immediately starts to crack and shatter, and Ren knows he has only got seconds before this thing is moving again. That mysterious gem on its hide just pulses with an ominous light. And with a final roar, the worm breaks completely free from the ice. It looms over Ren, who is still stuck in midair after his failed attack, leaving our guy completely defenseless as he plummets to the ground. But then something else slams into the sand right beside him. It is Purun playing the role of a very angry, life-saving airbag. Ren gives another thanks yellow runt, which is basically a medal of honor from him. But he is already processing that this worm is way stronger than before. And that gemstone is definitely not a standard feature, which means this is not just a monster, it is a major discovery.